Excellent. Welcome, everyone, to our first ILTA Voices this afternoon here live at ILTACON, which we're super excited to be doing. I'm joined by two very fabulous ladies who will introduce themselves in a moment. But if you don't know who I am Alexa Isaacs. I am the co-chair of the Volunteer Council for ILTA. And I am speaking at the conference this week, which we're all really excited about. Well, I am. I'm not sure if everyone's really excited about it. And I'm also one of the authors in our Lessons in Leadership book, which is volume 2. So, ladies, would you like to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you do for ILTA?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so I'm Marlise Johnson, and I am one of the co-chairs for Vol Ops here at ILTA. I'm also stepping down and exiting from our Next Gen Legal Innovator Advisory Group. I'm also one of the authors for the Lessons in Leadership book that's coming out. I'll be speaking on Wednesday. And I think that's it for so far for
At the
everything that I do.
moment, but you have been also on the ILTACON committee, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I've worn a lot of hats with ILTA. It's been great volunteering, so helping to plan some of the sessions as well as just kind of doing whatever I can behind the scenes. It's been fun.
Fantastic. And Pretty?
Hi, everyone. I'm Pretty Saraswat. I'm Director of Innovation and Knowledge at Levenfeld Pearlstein, but for ILTA, I am the co-chair of Volunteer Ops, our Volunteer Operations Committee with Marlise. And I've also worn a lot of hats with ILTA and volunteering, and I am also one of the authors on the Lessons in Leadership Volume 2.
So, ladies, can you tell me what your chapter's about? And how did you land on that particular topic out of everything that you could have written about for the Lessons in Leadership book?
I'll go first. Yeah, my chapter was about authenticity. I think this is something that I've wrestled with a lot. I have, just by background, I came from the UK like 10 years ago to the US. There were many different things that I had to adjust to. There was, cultural things. There was also how legal is done in the US, trying to navigate a whole new industry and in some ways. And so all of that, I think I'll say this, when I moved to the US, I didn't exist for one. But I also had to figure out who I could be, because it was like a clean slate as well. And when you're trying to figure out who you are in a new place, you have to figure out who you actually are in it, and you do a lot of self-reflection. So anyway, the last decade has been a great self-reflection for me. The biggest lesson I've learned is authenticity, which is you are who you are and you shouldn't be afraid of it. So that's what inspired that chapter.
Excellent. And Marlise?
That was so beautiful. I think it builds off of that in a way, not necessarily moving continents, but moving from being a learner into a leader, and what that really requires, whether that's kind of reaching back or looking internally at what you wish you would have had as a learner, as someone that's was managing you, whether it was advocating for you, sponsorship, and just making sure that you're really staying ingrained with what's happening and staying up to speed with all that's going on. And as you make that transition, I think anyone can be a leader as well, non-positional or positional. So we all have that responsibility regardless.
Okay, great. Is there a conventional leadership wisdom that your chapter pushes back on?
Yes. So it's more about, and sadly, even though we've moved to a virtual environment and most of our meetings happen on Teams, Slack, Zoom, whichever platform you use, I think post-COVID, a lot of us did go back into the office, or even just having meetings whichever platform you're in person or online. There's always this expectation that you have to maybe wear a certain hat or play a certain role in meetings. And that's what my chapter pushes back on, that actually I found that when I was my authentic self, there was more innovation and people respected and listened more, and there was more collaboration when you were just yourself and you brought your whole self to it. And I think it's scary because anytime you're vulnerable, it's scary for any of us. But actually, that's where the biggest doors open, and that's where the biggest lessons are learned is in that vulnerability.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. I think in my chapter, I push back on the concept that you have to wait to be given opportunity, whether that's learning or whether that's upskilling. You hope to have that supervisor or that boss that's going to give you those opportunities, but sometimes it takes you raising your hand, volunteering so that you can learn something new. You are responsible for your own training at all times, regardless of who's your boss and what firm or organization you work for. So telling you that you actually have to go out and find that. You might have to volunteer, sign up for that class or do that thing that you might be afraid to do, but comfort and growth don't exist in the same space, and you have to take that step for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's really both very good messages, because I think as we evolve as leaders, we learn and decide new ways of wanting to be, like with the authenticity that you're talking about, how we want to lead and be ourselves. And obviously that's what a lot of the book discusses with the amazing contributing authors. Was there a story or an example that you almost left out, and what made you keep it in?
I think for me, there's a line in there that says, I didn't set out to be the legal tech Swiss Army knife. So there was that, and there's a point in there where I tried to use my British wit, which I hope does land, because I do talk about, like, in America it's like this, and in the UK it's like this, and then in legal tech, because I was also on the vendor side, it's like this, and then working for a law firm is like this. So I did try and bring a bit of humor into it, but I also understand that text is always interpreted without tonality. So I did hesitate for a second, like, should I put this in, and will people actually catch the British wit behind it? So I hope you do when you read it. But yeah, those are kind of two things, just because, as I said, I've seen culture and the legal tech industry from so many angles.
Yeah. I think that's really important to bring the international part of what we do, right? We are, we do have huge membership within the globe, or around the globe even, and I think it's important to keep our British humor in there as well, Pretty, even though you have adapted to life in the US.
Well, it's the I in ILTA, and it's the only time that we like I in anything.
Yeah. I love that. Miley's.
Yes, please keep the British wit. I love it. Looking forward to it. We need more.
I'll do my best.
I actually think left out a few stories because I was like, okay, let me trim this down, kind of similarly, not go too far off script. But I left out kind of the fact that my very first time managing people, I think I was at Chick-fil-A. So I'm working kind of in a little story, or 17, being in charge of all of these different people and all these different things. But over time, over the last, I don't even know how many years that is, decades, like, I've learned so much about how I manage best, about how I like to react to others. And I still feel like some of that pulls into legal tech. So that really helped to shape kind of what my lessons learned were as I've gone from like this learner to this leader. But yeah, I left out all mention of working in a little chicken place.
My boys would be so impressed that you worked at Chick-fil-A, because being British teenagers, where they see it all over TikTok all the time, they would have been very impressed with that. So how has the thinking of this topic evolved since you first started writing the stories or your lessons?
It's a great question. So I think the foundation of authenticity is always there, but I will say it's one of those concepts where, so I said kind of like authenticity, the backbone is vulnerability, and that's scary for any of us to have to do. And I think, even though I'll say it's one of these things, right? Every time you're vulnerable and you overcome that vulnerability and you see what comes out of it, it's such an enlightening experience. But then the moment you have to go into vulnerability again, we seem to like forget the last time. So just having so many moments of vulnerability and seeing like every single time it validating that actually this was more of a positive experience than a negative one. And our body just goes into fight or flight. And so yeah, I think I wouldn't say it's changed anything since when I wrote it, but the evolution is there because I've gone through so many different vulnerability stages, and now it's easier to identify as well.
Yeah. How about you, Miley's?
Trying to think. I think at its core, most of the lessons that I included within the book still ring true. I think I would add maybe a footnote to some of them, such as, for instance, upskilling and being in charge of your own development, really making sure that it aligns with what you want to be doing. For instance, if someone identifies that you're really good at one thing, maybe it's, building dashboards, but you don't want to do that all day. How do you make sure that you're aligning and upskilling and getting those projects and responsibilities that you truly do want to advance in the right place? So still being cognizant that you do want to raise your hand, but raising it for the right thing. But I still think at its core, not too much has changed, but I'd add a footnote.
Yeah, okay, I like that. And we can always think about volume 3 for the next lessons, right? So for people in the legal tech space, what do you think specifically is the biggest leadership challenge that your chapter tackles that's more unique to this industry than maybe other people would expect?
So again, this is where I would have just to the point of like which stories did you hesitate to include? I think that our industry is evolving a lot, but traditionally there has been a lot of judgment. There's also kind of hierarchies and structures. We're a more structured industry. So I think in that sense, again, authenticity can be very difficult to bring because there's always like this hidden judgment that we sometimes feel. And I think also depending on what role you play in a law firm or in the legal industry, that can also bring its own challenges. So yeah, I think that authenticity isn't always the easiest thing to step into, but if you find the courage to do it, it will change a lot in your personal role and also in your professional role. I think there's just so much evolution in authenticity, but we all have to take that kind of leap of faith step.
That's great.
Absolutely. I would say it was needing to be both that technical mindset as well as understanding kind of the functional requirements. We all sit in this very unique space where we're doing all of this work for our attorneys, for our firm, or for our organization, if that's the case. But you're expected to have still some knowledge of this technical expertise. So staying upskilled, making sure that you are talking with your peers, going to things like ILTACON, really engaging in the space so you kind of know what is on the cutting edge. So if they're able to answer those questions and to take them back with you and really help your organization in whatever capacity it is towards their mission. So yeah, I think that lends itself still to that chapter or that segment of my chapter about that.
Excellent. So what would you hope readers who will do differently after reading your chapter?
Be courageous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's this courageous lion inside of all of us, lioness. And I think often we talk ourselves mentally out of it. And so I encourage everyone to just be courageous and just see, right? Just see what can happen from it. Often we say no before anything's even happened because we go through 100 scenarios in our head of how it could play out. How about you just let it play out and see what happens? So that would be, I hope they take away.
I like that.
I hope they feel empowered. I think a lot of the times, especially coming as a young professional, you think things will be handed to you, and sometimes they might, sometimes they may not. But really feeling empowered to really just step in or raise your hand, not be afraid to necessarily fail, just trying something new out, whether that's a new position or taking on a new responsibility in your current position, just really feeling empowered in your own career. We're at a very interesting time between AI and all these different developments that most often your organizations are going to be supportive because they're looking to answer some of these problems anyway. So if you're willing to work with them and try it out and work alongside, there's a lot of room for some interesting opportunities.
Yeah, that's great. So I really want to talk about what you do as in your volunteer role as well. And you mentioned, both of you in the beginning, that you've had lots of different roles up until now. But tell us about VolOps and what their remit is within ILTA.
Oh, yeah. I can go first. So VolOps was actually, I think, maybe my second official ILTA volunteer committee that I joined. I'd done, I think, ILTACON as like a work a day, get a day kind of thing, but then actually joining a committee and having this kind of be year round, it was very nice. And I quickly saw that VolOps is the heart of ILTA volunteers. We provide so many resources and support, and we're looking to kind of help with those processes, writing out handbooks, giving just different documentation, and providing that needed guidance for every single volunteer at ILTA. So I love it so much. It's very close to my heart, and it is the heart.
Yeah, and kind of what we do on the VolOps side is a lot of the documentation. So when the volunteer handbook, for example, which is a great resource, especially if you're a new volunteer, but honestly, whether you're a veteran or whether you're new, it's a really helpful handbook. We're always trying to keep it updated so that it has the latest information about volunteering at ILTA. And so those are the kind of things. We're kind of the behind the scenes team where we keep up with the documentation. So if there's anything that you think is also missing, we're the team that you should reach out to. But that's kind of our role behind the scenes, and just giving you the resources that you need as a volunteer. In terms of my volunteering experience, I think I started off, I want to say, as being a judge for the awards.
Oh yeah,
the
that's always a really
Distinguished
great
Peer
opportunity,
Awards.
isn't it?
So shout out to Mary Beth, who I've known for like almost a decade. She's always encouraging me, and she kind of reached out for that. So that's where my journey began. And then I joined the DEIC committee, and then I think within 8 months, the DEIC co-chair stepped down, and so I stepped up in that role. And then I took a little break from volunteering, had to step down from that role, but I took a break for like 6 months. And then, you know what? That was very eye-opening for me, because I realized how much I actually missed the ILTA community. And that's not to say that you can only interact with the community through volunteering, but you definitely meet a lot more people through volunteering. So I definitely miss that. It's like it's a community within a community, and I just felt like I was missing out on that. And so yes, I had a bit of FOMO, but I also realized just how enriching it was for my life.
Yeah.
So that's what I miss. And then I applied for the co-chair of volunteer operations committee, and yeah, here I am. So
Do you know what? I think that's a really good point that you've mentioned about how it enriches your life, because, you know, as people who have volunteered amongst us for a number of years, there is nothing that beats that volunteer community, and then, as you said, the wider community of ILTA. I don't think there's anything else like it, and I think we're very lucky in this industry to have that. So I know you have a couple of vacancies on the VolOps team at the moment. So do you want to tell us what type of person you're looking for?
We're looking for someone who loves policies, procedures, ILTA, legal tech, just anything I think within that space. We have a very special committee. I feel like we get a lot done, and we are looking to kind of make sure that we are supporting all of volunteers. So someone who's willing to listen and to be that aid to the rest of the organization. Did I miss anything, Preeti? Anything else we should look for?
I think also, if you either love to write, or you think that it might be something that you enjoy doing, but you maybe don't want to jump into, I don't know, writing a book or something big like that, then that's also a good opportunity. I also think anybody who is very organized. So I am maybe a little bit too structured in this way, but yeah, anybody who loves this kind of organization, it's one of those roles that is evergreen. So we're always updating something.
Absolutely.
But it's not like an ILTACON committee where it's very concentrated in one part of the year. So you can kind of pace it out throughout your year and do it alongside your other curriculars, I'll say, or your job. So
Yeah.
It's very flexible in that way too, which is
Yeah,
great.
I think it gives you a lot of great opportunity that you might not necessarily get in your day-to-day role, which is always what is very special about volunteering at any point. So I know that we can go and look at volunteer.ilta.net to find the latest roles that are available, and we can apply there. So if any of our listeners today, please have a look there. And where can people find the both of you after today, or follow what you're up to? Is the best place LinkedIn, do you think?
Yes, definitely.
Excellent. So please, if you would like to send some requests to the three of us, we'll be happy always to talk about everything ILTA Ladies, thank you so, so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's great.
Hi everyone, we're back with ILTA Voices. We're in the exhibitors hall watching it all grow around us. Everyone will see that later. I'm with two fabulous ladies who I've had the pleasure of meeting and working with through ILTA. And I will let them introduce themselves to you. So Barbara, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Bárbara Gondim da Rocha. I'm a lawyer from Brazil, a long-time volunteer for ILTA. It's my 7th ILTACON, I guess. And I'm really happy to be here with you and to have this conversation.
You're also one of our scholarship winners this year.
Yes, I have a lot of ribbons.
So I definitely want to hear about that as well. Melissa.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm Melissa Ballesteros, and I am actually a fifth year Ilton, and I'm just a very proud volunteer. And I am also a Microsoft MVP for Copilot and M365. And I speak English, Portuguese, and Spanish. And that's part of the I'm
Show up.
mentioning that because this
Show
is
up.
important for
Okay,
today.
yeah.
100%. So, ladies, tell our listeners about yourselves and your involvement with ILTA so far. I understand that you met with the ILTA My Mentor program.
Yes, we did. And that's why I mentioned the Portuguese because I've been working on my Portuguese for the past few years.
Mhm.
And when the ILTA mentor program came about, this was right after conference where every place I visited, everybody said, you need to meet Barbara Gontim. You need to meet her. And she was never there. And we didn't meet. And then I get my list of potential mentors and she's on the list. So I realized she is in Brazil and I wrote to her in Portuguese. And that's how our connection started. So there was no question as to who would be my mentor at that point.
And on my end, I was applying for the first time. So I'm from Brazil. I've been volunteering for ILTA since day one because it was a way to make my firm see the benefit of being involved with ILTA.
Mhm.
So I said I had to grab every opportunity to make them know the benefit of the membership and everything. So I started volunteering with content teams in other capacities. I used to come to ILTACON. And then when My Mentor program came, I applied first as a mentee. I had a great first year. And then the second time around, I said, okay, there was the opportunity to apply either as a mentor or mentee. I said, go for it. Let's see how Kristen Becker is going to
Yeah.
figure out my role. And
She
then
is a magician.
she is a
at matching
magician, a
people, I must
matchmaker.
tell you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then she put, and then, oh, you're now a mentor. And I said, yay, but oh my God, who will want a Brazilian lawyer as a mentee from many parts in the world? And then when I got Melissa's email in Portuguese, I cried because it's the mentor-mentee relationship is a two-way street. And again, Kristen Becker did a great job pairing us. And it benefits both ways. So Mel was my sister from another mister that I didn't know about that I didn't know existed, and ILTA made it possible for me to know someone that
I joined the system.
Yes,
Yes.
and we met because of
We
Mel.
met because of
this
Mel. You're
relationship.
100% right.
Mel became my mentee, and she was volunteering within your committee.
Uh-huh.
And then we were talking about bringing international people to the ILTA community. And then she said, you two should meet. And then we met, and then we
In
started
Chicago.
in last
years
year
ago.
we did this Olas and
yeah.
Oh, yeah?
and Ola and
These buttons that
these
you
buttons
see
that we
for
use to see in the language that people
was actually my original idea to bring people closer, and then Barbara joined me in helping with developing it while we were together, Alexa and I, in the committee. So one of the things that I'd love to make note of is that the only way that ILTA, I believe, really, really empowers you is when you volunteer, because that's how you get to meet people. That's how you get to understand what's happening in other places. And your connections, for me so far, have grown so strong that I've found family in places I didn't know existed. So if you're thinking about volunteering, stop thinking. Press the button. Click now.
I totally agree with you. As someone who was encouraged to volunteer when I first, I was working for a firm that was a member firm, and I quite honestly didn't even know. And then a former boss of mine, who's now actually a board member, Christina Griffin, wonderful lady, suggested that I apply for within this new big volunteer structure. And I applied for the Volunteer Development Committee, which I then was lucky enough to be asked to co-chair. And I've had wonderful co-chairs, and I totally agree with you. I have been very lucky, met some phenomenal people globally. And you do, and this is something I mentioned on the previous podcast when I had Pretty and Miley's here.
I was going to mention them because
Right.
we have people from Australia and India
Right.
and all
All over the place, right? And you build this amazing community of people and peers, and this is one of the things that ILTA, no one matches ILTA on this. Like the community and everybody coming together is a truly wonderful thing. And so the other roles that you've had also, you've been, as you said, like on the content team. So there's lots of different ways that you can support. Tell us a little bit about the Talent Council, which is what you're
Thank you
on
for
now.
asking, because we need more volunteers, because we need 2 openings now for a council. So we are in charge of the ILTA election. So it's important thing that every 2 years, so ILTA is a volunteer-led organization. So we're all volunteers. ILTACON is made by volunteers who choose sessions and choose speakers and moderate it and organize it. So the content, the conferences, everything, we have staff, amazing staff, very professional staff, but we have a huge organization. We have 5,000, maybe 6,000 people at this conference.
Yeah,
So
it's 5,500.
there's only so much 40 people on staff or 50 people from staff can do. So when we volunteer, so ILTA's board is made of volunteers as well. So the Talent Council is one of the group of volunteers in charge of making the process smooth and choosing the candidates, seeing the qualifications that the candidates have to keep such a huge organization, like with the history, with the focus, the core values that we have, with people that are making this happen. So
Yeah.
we have, it's important that you volunteer before, that you know a little bit about ILTA. So if you're a volunteer and you want to know about who could be your next gig, come find us, apply for the Talent Council. So it's a good thing, but you can apply and you can do so many things no matter where you are in the world. So this is the crazy thing,
100%.
because when I first joined ILTA, I imagined I would come here just to learn or just to absorb content. And then I knew about this possibility of being empowered, of knowing people. And it feels like every year that I come, it's like a family reunion. That you come and you see people that you see just once a year. So it's with 5,000 people and you feel that. So it's amazing. Even with people that you never met, you hug them. The energy.
There is amazing energy that surrounds this whole conference.
Yes.
So it is very, very exciting. So, Mel, tell me, you both were involved and you do a lot of work to help build the presence in the Latin American community. And I believe you just held an event in Miami at the end of July. Tell us about that.
We did. Well, for a while, since I started coming to ILTACON, I was part of the buttons, and part of everything is for others to realize that even if you are not in the US, you can have a part in this organization. And so I was trying to find the right pieces and the right stuff to put together an event that would be geared towards the Latin America community, which is typically misrepresented or underrepresented. And it's also, we receive things in Latin America later, badly translated. And then the other part of it is very common for Latin America to believe that they need to come here to absorb and to understand and to learn.
Only to absorb, because they come to absorb, but not only to.
Only because we, and I say we because my family is from Latin America, I grew up there. And every one of my friends that lives there always says, oh, I built this, but I'm sure that they have much better in the US. And so I wanted for them to realize that what they have is really powerful, and it should be also shown and shared along with them, absorbing things from us. So that was the intent of it. And then 4 years later, then finally the time came to really have the event. And I said, yes, I can, but not without my co-chair, my sister from another mister, because I knew that she had also the finger in the pulse.
Mhm.
And so we were blessed to create an event that was, as we described it, not an event that we wanted to showcase us, but an event where we would also learn.
Mhm.
And I think we did just that.
An event that we wanted to attend. And I was just talking to people from Brazil because we were bumping to people from our own country here that I only see here. I don't see back in Brazil.
Mhm.
And then we were talking about how we need these experiences. And I said, let's do this.
Mhm.
Let's do something in Portuguese. Let's do a group of people, a group of Iltans. Let's get together. Let's go to have a happy hour. Let's have some dinner together. Let's discuss about things in our own language, because a lot of things gets lost in translation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's good that you can have the opportunity to talk to people in your own language, and we use the structure and the know-how and a lot of things that ILTA can give and can make it happen. So what we did in Miami was like empower the Latin America community. And why Miami? Because it's a short flight. It's easy for me to go. I visited, so people say, you're going to Miami just for a conference? I said, yeah, I have a 7-hour flight and I'm there and I'm okay. Earlier in January, I had to go to Foz do Iguaçu, that is in the south of Brazil. It was a longer trip because I had to go to Brasilia, and then I had another flight and then another one, and then it took me longer to go to my own country than to Miami, for example. So we have direct flights. It was an easy go, and we have a big Latin American community there. People there are not even members yet for ILTA. So and it's a hub. So it's a place that it's easy to get and it's easy to have people, and to we need to do it again.
And
And
we
to-
will do it again. So be on the lookout.
Yeah.
Next year, it's happening.
and we
Bigger
can do
and better.
Yeah, and we can do
every
in other
year.
cities. So if
Yeah.
you're watching us, and if you want to do something in Colombia, or you want
Wherever,
to do this
call
in
us.
Chile,
We're
call
ready.
us. We can make it happen. We can find people. It's not necessarily us.
It's
who have to
ILTA.
be there. It's ILTA. We find someone who go there. ILTA wants to increase the international reach. We are doing, because we are ILTA. I like to talk about ILTA like in the first person, because it's us. So we are doing a new strategic plan to keep growing and to keep bringing value to the legal community. So
Absolutely.
and we are here to talk about ILTA, to be good members, volunteers. So because you both work in law firms, so we have this perspective of learning stuff, putting stuff, making our law firms better, our firm organizations better, but also giving back and also empowering our community.
Yeah. So you mentioned actually when you were just speaking about some of the firms that are in Miami or in Latin America aren't members yet. So how can someone who's listening to us now in Latin America get involved and also get access to ILTA? Mel?
Well, first of all, you have access to a lot of content free without belonging to the organization. You can go to iltanet.org and browse through content that is there. There is content in Spanish, there's some content in Portuguese, and there's definitely a lot of opportunity there. If your firm is a member, you are a member, no matter what part of the world you are in. So if you don't know that, know it. Go there and log in. And the first time, just say, I forgot my password.
Just like that said, I met a lot of people in the past few days that they didn't know that they were a member. They went to another conference or they met a vendor, and then they said, do you know about ILTA? And then the person said, yeah, but I don't know if I'm a member. So try to log with your work email. And if your organization is a member, you're gonna say create new password.
You can
or
look at the
something.
member directory, can't you,
Yeah.
to find
That's
out
the other
firms
thing.
that are
Yeah, you don't need
members.
to look inside your firm to talk to the right person and to ask about it. You can go to the website, put your work email. There's the directory that you can find out. So, and if your firm is a member, you have access to a lot of things. So go there, try to volunteer. Opt in to volunteer, and it might be daunting, but it's something that you can shadow other senior volunteers. You have someone to help you. You have the mentorship. So there are many possibilities. You don't need necessarily to travel. You can be as far as like I did when I wrote, and Jean, who is in charge of, she's staff and membership. I said I want to volunteer, but I don't know if I can, all the way from Brazil. It was 2019 when I did that, and she sent me a lot of possibilities of volunteer roles. She said you can be as far as Brazil, Fortaleza, where I live, and volunteer. It's online, so maybe you can come to conferences, but it's not necessary. So.
Yeah. So I think also it would be useful for people to look out for local local events, right? Because there's the
Yes.
local experience council that has just been set up as part of the volunteer structure, maybe in the last to outreach to people. So I would hope, and I'm maybe we can speak to our friends who are the co-chairs, to know that they're going to be trying to have their sort of ambassadors and member liaisons. Because Mel, you're a member liaison as
Yes,
well,
I
aren't
am.
you?
I'm a member liaison for Miami, for Mexico, for Colombia. And, we are really focused on enhancing that local experience because, like Barbara said, you don't have to be here only. There's knowledge and there's learning that happens throughout the year. So, meeting locally can actually expand your knowledge and then
And the
come here in a
connection.
different
Yeah,
way.
that's what I was gonna say. So you build a relationship throughout the year. You see your friends. When you come here, it's like a reunion. It's like you expand the knowledge and you expand the connections. It's like oh, it's so good to meet you in real life. It's so good to put a face to a name, or
I
because
loved that this week, just literally meeting people from my committees that I haven't met in person yet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember when we first met, right?
Yes.
Well, I mean, it sounds like really crazy, like we were long lost lovers, but literally I was running across the airport to give you the biggest hug. And that was special, right? Because we hadn't ever met in person. So, you can build these relationships with people globally. And when you meet up together, it's
And
wonderful.
build your network, right? That is your
100%.
network. If you haven't heard that, write it down. Your
Yeah.
network is your net worth.
Yeah.
Come on down.
So actually, that's a really good segue to my last question with you ladies. So how can people contact you or find you after today and follow the work that you both do?
listen to our voices
So-
screaming in the middle of the hallways.
Yeah, you can hear me coming from miles.
To find you, to find my
But-
wife. I hear her.
But in
British
the
accent.
meantime, but if you're not here, then
So all of us, not only you, all of us, we're all out.
if you're not here, you can find me on LinkedIn, Melissa Ballesteros. Also, I have melissamballesteros.com, which is my website. If you're interested, I have a Rockstar Women in AI community, which is an all over the world with Femke Cornelissen. We're both MVPs, and we are really working towards giving access, power, and information to women because we are no longer in a gap. We're in a cliff. So reach out to me. I'm happy to connect, happy to help.
And you can,
Fantastic.
if you want to find me, talk to Melissa because
I'm her manager.
To be quite fair,
Well,
we
she's
keep
way
losing
more
Melissa on this in this conference, so we're putting an air tag on her. Ladies, thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to have you here today on ILTACON.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Of course.
Testing speakers on StreamYard. Sound.
Hi, and welcome back to Ilta Voices. We are here live in the exhibit hall this afternoon, watching it grow around us with all these wonderful exhibitors here, which everyone will get to see later tonight. I am here with the wonderful Titan file. I know, I'm so lucky. So, gents, please introduce yourselves.
Sure. So my name is David Chaffee. I've recently joined Titan File, been in legal for 30 years. Happy to be here.
Mhm.
I'm heading our expansion for the US.
That's
So,
really exciting.
yeah, so we are a Canadian company, but we are growing into the US market. So
That's
we're excited to be
fantastic.
here.
Great.
So,
And I'm Daniel Huska. Everyone calls me Danny. I'm actually the product and solution expert here at Titan File. Also do all the front-facing master classes and webinars for the company as well. So hopefully any pressing questions that I'm asked on this talk, I will make it through.
I don't know how pressing they'll be, but we'll give it. So tell us if there's been any new exciting additions to the Titan File suite.
Absolutely. I should definitely know about this. Interestingly enough, we're currently doing our company update. So
Okay.
down the hall.
hopefully most of ILTA will have learned about. But we're constantly expanding our product suite and our integration suite here at Titan File. But one major update that we did is brand UI and login page. And we've added a huge admin control called RBAC, or role-based action controls. What this allows for is legal teams to get very granular internally. We're all about security here at Titan File. So it's very important that the lit support team, the e-discovery team, the support staff, attorneys, everyone has the right within the firm itself in Titan File. So whenever we're doing file exchange, we're having to do admin work, we're having to bring in policy, we're able to do that with ease with and so it's very exciting.
That sounds very exciting. What do you think has been like the most, I suppose, the what? Sorry, I have to start that again. What would be the one thing if someone was going to come along to your booth, you should say, right, absolutely, you need to see this. This is like the most exciting thing that we feel that has come recently.
So, as feature in the product,
Oh.
I think just ease of use is the biggest thing. And when we talk to all of our clients, attorneys can just log in, do it seamlessly, and that's what's key. And especially in legal, as you know, if it's not easy to use, no one's going to use it.
100%.
And so one of our business, and Danny and I work with a lot of clients to make sure it's single click, easy to use, and we're good. Anything on that? I mean,
that ease of use is a good point. Double click on it. When we're removing friction, that's kind of the aha moment when you're looking at Titan File. So we do a succinct workflow. And we show off, hey, our spaces are unlimited storage. We can upload any size, volume, and file type for your need. It's all organized, and then it's just as easy on your clients as well. And so when you take them through that workflow, downloading and uploading, no member of your admin or IT has to set up. It's just that easy to use. It's our aha moment or two.
and I think a big thing too, Danny, is the integration points we have with DocuSign, NetDocuments, other DMS and RMS providers, the ease of use for the attorney. So we are everywhere the attorney is, Outlook, NetDocuments, DocuSign, whatever they're doing, we're right there. So it makes it very easy to use. Very easy to use.
Absolutely.
That is really that's music certainly to my ears for someone who has done change and project management in law firms for many, many years. You really want to find products that are easy to use, intuitive. As you said, the end user doesn't need to contact IT to get something set up. And, also for our clients, right? This is really important for us in the industry. These tools also give our clients a very good, seamless and secure, absolutely, space.
And you nailed it. It has to be ease of use. If it's not easy, and we all know our clients out there, they won't use it.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's an interesting intersection because we often find if your system, you're difficult to use, or the performance slows down because it has to checkpoints and friction points to ensure that. Whereas we have world-class security with the highest rated, if you go to Security Scorecard or any independent rating. We've also won ILTACON Solution Provider of the Year, humble brag. And
I love that.
you're more than welcome to see our amazing security and posturing, but it doesn't interrupt our performance. And so we're found to be times as fast as any, I shouldn't say competitor on the market, but any transfer system on the market.
Yeah.
And then we intersect in this fun diagram that I'm drawing with my hands so you can't see, with ease of use as well. And so we just kind of hit all those points. Amazing performance, amazing security, and then absolute ease of use.
Is it? And
Yeah, absolutely. So you've talked about integrations. There was a discussion when we were talking a little earlier about information governance.
Absolutely. So Titan File does an amazing job at working with different repositories that firms use, from anywhere from AWS to Azure to NetDocuments to iManage. Firms are looking to get data platforms, and Titan File can fulfill that. And so as we move into the mobility information governance space, we're helping a lot of firms, large AmLaw 100 firms, take a lot of data out of competitive systems and getting them to where they want to go, like NetDocuments, for example. So we don't want all this data sitting somewhere that it should be in NetDocuments or iManage.
Yeah.
That's what we're really pushing our clients toward. And I think as we build that interface around mobility, it's going to be well adopted. I don't see in talking to, there's not a lot of mobility platforms out there in the legal space today. And Titan File has been doing this now for, gosh, how long, Danny? 15 years?
15 years.
15 years we've been doing it. So we're just adding some more native integrations into those platforms and our platform to make it more streamlined on the governance side.
Yeah. And kind of a wowing moment around that is we make it super easy to transfer information. An offboarding attorney or someone coming on to get an easy assignment. I actually have done a few ILTA road shows, and the main topic was information governance. And you always hear about, well, we have this policy and we can't enforce it. We're hoping our attorneys are following it. We're hoping our staff is. But there's no real way to police it. The conversation always boils down to, well, when we scrub or when we move something, or we're moving things around, we're hoping we have to do this process or do that. So if you can make it as smooth as possible, if you have insight, built-in audit trails that are completely coherent and linking all these systems together, it's a huge uplift for teams.
And it's a time saver. So it
Yeah.
saves money. So working with a lot of firms, we find out moving one attorney out can take weeks, or onboarding a single attorney can take
Absolutely.
a week with all this data. And so helping firms do that in a very quick time frame saves a lot of money and frustration and manpower.
Yeah, management.
Of course. Everyone does love change management, coming from a change management professional. They absolutely do. You know what? Actually, being able to do that, and you 100% where you're saving people's time and effort. You know,
Absolutely.
quite often a lot of these more difficult tasks where you are trying to manipulate data and take it between two different areas is so difficult. And having something that you're now in where we can do that in a much smoother way is something that's going to be really
Awesome. Yes.
valuable proposition, definitely. So if people want to know a little bit more about anything that Titanfile do, what's the best place to obviously hear or
Yeah. So please stop by our booth. You can always hit our website, titanfile.com, as well for information. Danny does live webinars every week as well that they can sign up for
You're
live
not bored
webinars.
of my strategy. I'm here for you every Thursday at 1 p.m.
Every Thursday.
Lovely.
Yeah.
One time zone.
EST.
Lovely.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
Sign
good,
up and
because then you can-
register. It's a live webinar that we always do, but there's a Q&A session at the end. And then our team is always ready and willing to perform a personalized demonstration, take you through your distinctive use case, go through the integrations that are relevant for you. And our support team is world renowned and won a few awards as well. So please come check us out on our website. But we're not just at booth 600 at ILTACON. We have an activation as well. We have a demo room ongoing and a photo booth. Very important.
Yeah,
Gabe.
so
Oh my gosh, yes, the headshots. They're
So
very, very
everybody, we
important.
have LinkedIn photo booth for headshots. Please come down and get your headshots. And we
Yeah,
actually have
I
makeup
got.
artists on staff there too.
Do you?
do.
That
Yeah.
is definitely an addition from last year because I did get my headshot done.
You need another one.
I
Let's
do.
get another
I
one.
do need a new one. Yes, my hair is longer. And with there, I'm definitely
Right.
coming along.
And for anyone that wants we do offer a 15-day free trial as well. And so if you'd like to sandbox the account a little bit and then go through a demonstration, it's however you'd like to evaluate the system. We're here for you.
Oh, that's excellent. And you obviously have global reach as well.
We do. We do. We have clients all over the world, from the UK to Asia to Australia. So we are worldwide.
Okay, that's magnificent, really, isn't it? That you are, and as you said, you're leading this US expansion now, which is a really exciting time for Titanfile.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're, we have a lot of US AM law firms. We want to build our brand a little bit stronger in the United States. And so it's an exciting time for me. I'm really honored to be joining here at Titanfile to do this. We have a great team like Danny and some of our other sales staff as well, and our support teams.
Yeah.
So for Titanfall.
Great. And are you guys speaking, or is anyone or any of your team speaking?
We are.
If you're not bored of us now,
we have some more. We have more for you.
Yeah, we have a master class tomorrow at 2 p.m., I believe.
I think it's at 2. Yeah, 2 to 3:15.
Yes, and you can come see some live demonstrations, a little bit more about exactly how we fit into your firm's tech stack, how we remove that friction as well. And if you're not completely done with that, we do have a few other more updates that we're running by other team members as well. Okay. I believe Renzo, our director, he is going to be talking about the book he wrote for ILTA as well. So lots of
that is super exciting. So I am looking forward to seeing Renzo at the book signing tomorrow morning. I hope you'll be there for the book signing breakfast, 7:30 a.m. on Tuesday, where we're all going to be signing our pages and special little notes.
You as well?
I am a in this book as well, which is super exciting because it's not something I ever thought I would do in my lifetime. I'm a real maths and science person, definitely not a writer,
now
but
you're
yes,
in literature. You're
I know,
English
right?
major now, right?
100%, 100%. Gentlemen, is there anything else you want to tell us about Titanfile while we're here?
people at ILTAs, have a great ILTACon. It's already been back to back for us here. I know it's back to back for you. So have a great week, and we hope to see everybody. Stop by our booth
Share a few drinks as well.
and share a few drinks, of course.
I mean, if you know Titanfall, you know that's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, gentlemen,
Thank
thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, and welcome back to ILTA Voices here this afternoon, live from the exhibition hall, where we are seeing all these wonderful exhibitors build all of their stands around us while we're here chatting. Tracy and Melvin, I have you here with me now for the next minutes or however long we like to chat. And you are seasoned volunteers, is a very good way to describe you. So if people don't know you, please do introduce yourselves, Tracy.
Sure. Tracy Pardo. I'm a business contract and senior procurement specialist with Cooley. Volunteering with ILTA for about 11 years now. Different roles. My current role, I am co-chair of the Talent Council with Melvin here.
And my name is Melvin Evans, and I'm the CIO for the firm Hand, Arundel, Harrison Sale, based out of Mobile, Alabama. I have been an ILTA volunteer for about 15 years now. I have served on a couple of different committees and councils and ILTACON sessions, and now I am serving on co-chair of the Talent Council.
Okay, so tell me about the Talent Council even, and what their remit is. Tell me about the Talent Council and what their remit is.
Okay, so the Talent Council is tasked with helping put together the potential candidates for the board of directors. So basically, what we do is we look for the right individuals that are active members within ILTA that have the right skill set and the knowledge and the attributes that would make a valuable board member. And what we do in that process is we ask them questions, we vet them, we look at their volunteer history and their professional history, and we try to identify and pinpoint people that would make a good member of a team of board members that can lead the organization forward. And then once we've done that, we put the ballot in place, and the members, all of you, are the ones that will actually vote on who will be on that board. But we have to put you together a large enough, selection so that you can choose who you feel would best represent you.
That's amazing. And I think that's a really unique opportunity within the volunteer structure. So, what type of person are you looking for on the town council? Because I believe you have some openings that are coming up or available at the moment.
Yes, we do. We have two. So we are looking for people who really are willing to work with others, be collaborators, and really just care about ILTA and trying to find the best possible leaders that we can to move our organization forward.
Yeah, one of the things that you also need is a variety and a versatility within the thinking process. So you don't want a board where everyone thinks alike and agrees with everything that's said and doesn't, think outside the box. You want thinkers. You want people thinking outside of the box. You want people who are trying to figure out what the best possible solution is. You want people who will question the decisions that are coming up in those meetings and then try to help make sure that it is the best possible solution available.
Do you have to have previous volunteer experience to apply to be on the board?
the the best candidates normally have volunteer experience. It may not necessarily be ILTA volunteer experience. It may be somewhere in their personal or professional career, nonprofits in their local city or state, things of that nature. But volunteer experience is critical because this is a volunteer organization.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of dynamics that have to be taken into consideration on how you want to run and operate the organization.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. You're about to go into this new cycle, aren't you, of board elections? So tell me, Tracy, how does that start off?
Well, it starts off with planning, like anything. So we have started planning, getting questions together, as well as interviewing the board to make sure we know what we need in the next election. And especially it's critical this year as we're going to go into a new strategic plan.
Yes.
So we start looking for people who maybe have that kind of experience as we move forward.
Yeah, one of the key things is once that strategic plan framework has been put in place, then it's up to that board along with our CEO and ILTA staff to help drive that forward. And then that's also includes the work of a lot of volunteers on the different councils and committees. But what is mission critical is that all of those board members are 100% on the same page with that framework and with that new strategic plan that will carry the organization forward for the next few years.
Okay, that's excellent. And how many board members have, or does ILTA have?
Currently, we have 7 board members. We have president, we have vice president, we have a treasurer, we have some at-large positions that are liaisons for the different councils and committees. And we ourselves as a talent council, we have a liaison off of the board as well. So it's all inclusive. It takes everyone working together. And that means the board members, all of the volunteer organization and the councils and the co-chairs, and as well as the ILTA staff. And then Joy Rush, as the CEO of it, she is that representative for the ILTA staff, and she works in lockstep with the board as well.
Okay, that's great. And do you, as a talent council, do you decide the roles that people are assigned, or is that a collective decision with the board?
Well, there's a combination of things that go into that. The candidates get to tell us, once we identify the ones that will be on the ballot, what they're interested in and what they may not be interested in. Sometimes it's because of their expertise or lack of expertise in that area. Sometimes because they just, a drive or a special place in their heart for a particular area, education council or something of that nature. But we also do a lot of discussion of that internally and trying to place those individuals in the right position. We make recommendations about that position that they would be best suited for. But after, people have been selected by the active members, and then we have our slate of individuals that'll serve on the board, and then we try to identify the best place to put them.
Okay, that's great. But one thing you just mentioned there, and actually I think would be quite important to discuss, is, if someone doesn't feel an expertise in that area, what can ILTA do to help support them on, I suppose, a development journey? Tracy, is there anything that Talent Council offer?
Well, I mean, one of the things the Talent Council does, and what we'd like to do, is to train and kind of mentor leaders and potential leaders. I think we're going to start working with the Education Council, as well as another former member of our board, of our group. We're going to try in the next couple of years to really get some leadership kind of programming out there to develop that next set of people.
Yeah, one of the things that we've learned over the years is that, everyone is good at something. Some people are good at multiple things, and there's always some room for improvement on a particular leadership skill or attribute that would help make them a better board member. And so we, have done that due diligence and identified that. We want to be able to help them to get that additional expertise or experience that they need. So one of the good things that we're hoping to see happen is there will be like a leadership track where they can, identify a particular area. They may know they're weak in. It may be public speaking, or it may be, organizational skills or project management skills or whatever the need may be, and then put the tools and the training in place to help them develop that skill, because we also know that those skills can not only help them on the board, but it will help them in their personal career and in their private lives as well.
You know what? That's one of the wonderful things about volunteering with ILTA, is that you get to do and learn skills that you might not necessarily have the opportunity to do in your day role. I know Tracy discussed this,
Yes.
when we are now firm friends after working together so long on the volunteer council. But we have discussed the fact that there was some reservation in sometimes taking some of these roles for you because you hadn't had the experience before, but you have, I would say, grown in your own professional development.
Yeah, I mean, definitely ILTA has really given me confidence to be a leader. That's one thing I think a few years ago, you wouldn't have seen me in this position. You actually wouldn't have seen me in front of the camera. But I've been very lucky. Alexa definitely has been a great mentor. Now I have Melvin. There's been members who are on the board now who have mentored me. Julie Brown, Christina Griffin. They definitely have
given me the confidence to be here. And they're people I never would have met in my everyday life, in my everyday work life. So ILTA can give you so much. So I highly recommend that even if you don't want to volunteer for the Talent Council, just volunteer. It's just so wonderful. The ILTA people are just wonderful people, and getting to know them is just awesome. Understand that word?
I mean, yes, it absolutely is like that. So, um, what can people do to start their volunteer journey within ILTA?
The easiest thing to do is to get involved at whatever level, whatever dynamic they feel most comfortable with. There are hundreds of volunteer opportunities within ILTA across all different aspects of the organization, anywhere from education council to membership, to just being involved in some shape, form, or fashion of it. And it all plays a significant role in the end. It's kind of like putting a puzzle together. You're sitting there, you got all the little pieces, and you're thinking, okay, I still don't see it. But as you put more pieces in there, as you get more volunteers in there, that picture starts to come together, and then you see what it is you're trying to accomplish. So there's something for everyone. Be helping out, with online sessions or local experience sessions, or helping out with the ILTACON planning or Evolve planning that we do for the conferences. It could be something online, preparation of data and materials for people to review online. There's just so much out there, and what you learn through that process is what you truly enjoy doing and what you want to give back. And then you also learn your own strengths and weaknesses, and then that's where the organization help you improve those strengths, help you, fine tune those skills, also to help you work on those weaknesses or those fears or the things that you may not be comfortable doing, to make you just a better all around, individual professional.
That's amazing. I mean, I certainly have had some excellent and really valuable volunteer experiences with ILTA. I've judged awards. I've been able to, there's scholarships we offer every year to come to conference. I've on one of the categories I've reviewed, and all the applications that have come in, which is an amazing thing. It's just wonderful to see so many people apply for these scholarships, and they have such amazing. So it's really, and that's a short piece of work. That has a really short, finite time frame. What we do now, maybe we give a few hours a month to, right? But it still is something that is so valuable for the organization. We know that ILTA is a volunteer-led organization, and have a fantastic staff, but they do need the support of their volunteers, and they will continue to do so in the future. So yeah, it's a very, very valuable thing. So if anyone who's listening now wants to find you guys or talk to you after today's conference, what's the best way to get a hold of you both?
Well, we're all here. We're all actively participating in, ILTACON this week, and sessions and different events with the vendors. Tap us on the shoulder, walk up and say hello, introduce yourself. I've met 3 people today that just wanted to know a little bit more about the Talent Council and wanted to ask, had, real informal, brief conversations, and I was able to answer some questions for them, but also able to give them enough information to where they can think about where they may want to volunteer or serve if it's not with the Talent Council. So even though we're here advocating for the Talent Council, we also want to advocate for volunteering regardless of where it may be, or what council or committee you may work with.
Yeah.
And there is also the volunteer webpage.
Right.
Off of ILTANet. Be sure to go there, because one, it will list all the volunteer opportunities you can apply for. And then from there, if you go to where it says ILTA leadership, you go for the teams, and you'll find us. You'll see our lovely faces as well as our email addresses, and you can reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, that's a very good point, talking about the ILTA website and all the resources and the information that can be found there. But something which is really also quite important if you're interested in volunteering is you can go and check that on your profile, can't you, within the ILTA website. and you can you can hear about all the opportunities and when they are available and launched, because they come all the way through the year. I mean, I probably the next biggest tranche of volunteers we'll be trying to recruit for next year's ILTACON, right? Then very shortly after this year.
You know, and one other thing that's critical is as you volunteer within ILTA, regardless of where it is or what role it's in, you learn more about the organization, what it takes to make it function, what the heartbeat is, what the historical background is. And those are the type things that make you a better leader if you decide you want to follow a leadership track and serve in a co-chair role or serve on the board itself and be in any of those, positions where those skills become very critical and very informative for you. You learn a lot every step of the way. And there were a lot of things I didn't know when I started. And then I get on a committee and then I got on another committee and I learned more and I switched to something else. And then I really got to a level where I was getting into things where I learned how it truly operates and functions on a daily basis. And I was overwhelmed once I understood that, we've had slogans on shirts and signs and things that say peer power. It is truly peer power driven. And it is the volunteers that make this organization whole and make it run and keep it going forward. Now, we have an excellent and amazing staff, but the volunteers are the ones that put together the ILTACON sessions and the online sessions and all the education training and everything else that we have included. And any part of that is important. Every part of that is important.
Yeah, I mean, every role or every task that is required by the volunteers, as you said, a puzzle of amazing people that all come together and really make this industry and this community thrive. I don't believe there's anything really else like ILTA. I mean, it really is the most wonderful community. Is there anything else you'd like to end with?
I'd add one other thing to that. As you're thinking about where you want to volunteer and what you want the participation to be, especially if it's with the talent council, reach out to and ask the questions. But here's the question you should ask any current volunteer: is what does your volunteer time entail? How many hours does it take? What are you doing? When do you meet? Those type things, because that helps you find what works best. One with your personal schedule, one with your professional schedule, and then gives you an idea of what is required to be successful in that role. And so for us with the talent council, we have regular meetings once a month. We do it via Zoom. If there's an election coming up like there is now, we'll be having a lot more meetings between January and April of the upcoming year. We've got, a lot of work ahead of us, but we're organized, we're planned, it's structured. And then after that, it kind of goes back into the normal once a month cycle. But it varies by a committee, it varies by volunteer positions.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure you ask that question so that you can find the best fit that works for you. And when you get committed and you're doing that, then you can be 100% successful in the process.
Great. Anything from you, Tracy? Any final words?
I just want to say thank you for interviewing us. We're happy to be here. And thank you for being my friend.
Always my lovely friend. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. It has been really lovely talking to you both. And I wish you the best of luck getting your wonderful new candidates for Talent Council. And yeah, I will see you, I'm sure, in this lovely exhibition hall later.
Yeah, this is just crazy, guys. It's crazy to see it all being put together.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, and welcome back to ILTA Voices here in the Exhibitors Hall at ILTACON 2026. I am joined by two wonderful people that are now my friends, Angela and Maria. Lovely to see you both. So please tell us a little bit about yourselves and your volunteer experience and journeys within ILTA.
Go ahead.
Hi, Alexa. Very nice. Very happy to be here. It's been a long journey. I mean, I started coming to ILTACON probably 25 years ago.
Wow.
And soon after, I became part of the conference committee. That's where I met amazing people like Maria and a bunch of other people that over the time has become very good friends, people that I keep in touch. We meet once every month, once every 2 months, exchange ideas. And after that, I became part of the vendor side, and I came to ILTA from the vendor hat, which is an amazing experience because you cannot imagine all the things that go behind the scenes to prepare something like this. And more recently, we are working on two ends, the PMO roundtable that we'll talk about it, and we are joining the practice management content team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
As a pair now.
Yeah.
I love that. I had no idea you were joining that team. So that's really exciting. Yeah, really exciting. I look forward to hearing about that a bit more. So Maria, tell us about also your experience.
My journey is similar.
Yeah.
So 2007, I think, was my first ILTACON. So I've been coming regularly to that. And then, I realized, wow, this is really cool. I found out about the committee that puts on all the educational sessions. And I thought, I want to be a part of that. And I applied and I got in. I was like, oh, this is like, and so I think my career grew as my participation grew. So I've been a team coordinator for ILTACON, as well as many years being a session coordinator. So I miss it. I miss being here and not being on the committee.
Yeah, I'm sure. But you absolutely know, as you quite rightly said, the amount of effort and work that goes into putting on this phenomenal event. And so many volunteers who are involved in that as well.
Oh, yeah.
But you've also done other volunteer opportunities as well. So obviously the Volunteer Council.
Yes, the Volunteer Council. So after I decided, let's try something different. And I applied to the Volunteer Council position. You and I were co-chairs for a little while, and that was great. And the Volunteer Council, it's really about the volunteers, right? It's about our portion was more about supporting and marketing and getting more volunteers, and how do we speak to people so that they are motivated to join and volunteer for ILTA. So it was a perfect role for me. And now I'm really excited to be part of the practice management content committee. I think that's the official title. And so whatever that brings, I learn from every experience. I meet different people. So
that's, I think, one of the best things about these volunteer opportunities, isn't it? You have this amazing ability and opportunity to learn so much, not things that you would necessarily learn on your day-to-day role within your law firm.
Yeah, I think it's a two-way road, and you do a lot of contribution, which is good. It makes you feel good. But at the same time, you get to know a lot of people. You get to know a lot of different perspectives. You learn about new areas, new ways of doing things. So I think it benefits everyone that participates. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And then you learn about them outside of work. Yeah. Did you know that Angel is a potter?
Well, I want to know more about that. Absolutely.
Amazing.
Cool. It's amazing. He does amazing work. I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, Maria, we can also tell everyone about your amazing dancing.
There you go. There you go.
Everybody knows that, though.
Right? Well, not all of our listeners do, so it's nice to tell them. And we're going to, Maria, I think you need to teach me some line dancing while we're here.
I'm here.
I know. Yeah. You're always fabulous. I think the first time I ever met you properly was on a dance floor. So yes, it was lovely to meet you in person that way. So our listeners might not be aware that we do stuff together, which is super exciting, the three of us. And also with Francine, who sadly isn't able to join us right now. But we put on a PMO roundtable every couple of months. We try to curate content and have discussion. It's all very open. So what you what would you say is important about that community and what we try and achieve?
I can start by saying how we start. Yeah, so the idea started by the fact that we will come to the ILTACON conference and we will meet peers on the PMO area by chance. We will see them in a session, we will see them at lunch, but there was not a more formal or a structured way of meeting each other. So after a couple of conversations, we decided to reach out to ILTA and say, we need a new community. Obviously, you need to justify because there is also the project management community, but they are two different groups and very well related, but different. And the idea was to give an opportunity to all these professionals to get together, learn from each other, have more formal encounters as we go. And that's what we have been doing for 2 years, the three of us.
I know, right? It's been amazing. I've actually really enjoyed our, bi-monthly sessions, right? Every 2 months.
Yeah.
And we have, like this year, I think we had at the beginning of the year, we met together, didn't we? We had some really good planning and thought about what we would really like to cover. Yeah. And those sessions, I think, have been really good. We've had guest speakers coming through, which has also been really nice. We've had one session where we went through lots of different tools. So there's lots of different discussions. So it might not just be pain points that particular, but, we're doing a bit of show and tell, which has also been really interesting, right?
Yeah.
And outside of those sessions every couple of months, what else does this community offer?
Well, we were just talking about, we were just in a session just before this, and one of the and it was on PMOs, right? One of the attendees, she was at our table and she says, where's the on-site PMO roundtable? I attended it 2 years ago. And I was really looking forward to it. And we realized, oh my gosh, we decided this year not to do it because there were so many sessions. But then we realized, you know what, there's a value. And she said, I really loved talking to people, small firms, large firms. What are you doing? What are we doing? And she said, I missed that. I said, okay, note to self, talk to Angel, Alexa, we got to do it next year.
100%. And we had a lovely time. Like my first ILTACON was last year, right?
Yeah.
And I loved coming along to our lunchtime session. We all just had lunch together, right? In that room, we had big sheets of paper on the walls, writing down ideas. Really getting that peer support that is so valuable as part of ILTA.
Yes.
And you know what? I understand where people have missed that this year because, when we had discussed it, we had seen that there was a lot of really good PMO and project management content this year. So we, assumed that the need wouldn't be there, right? But it has, I think, just as a community of people, it is wonderful for us to all be together.
Yes.
And I think really ILTA helped facilitate that.
Yes.
All we did was reach out
To the organization,
and he said, yeah, sure. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
How do you want to structure it, right? So,
which has been great, right? And I think that is, they're really always open, aren't they, to some new ideas. Like, it's not a huge thing, like an extra community.
Yeah.
But there is an area within our industry where it's still something that's really very good, right? And these communities that we have across the whole legal IT area are really fantastic. Like we are very, very lucky to have these communities that give so much in terms of support for people.
I'm very impressed with ILTA and how easy it makes it for all of us to do things.
Yeah.
And I'm even more impressed when you realize that the people doing it, they are also volunteers.
Yeah.
So there is this kind of goodwill and willingness to help and make things happen, which is wonderful.
You know what, volunteering for this organization in how long have I been doing it? Maybe 5 years. And I have learned so much from so many really brilliant minded people. So, not just even doing something within this sort of volunteer space where I've been on the volunteer council, but, all the other smaller opportunities like you were talking about, and, the CCT that you're doing now is really quite exciting. One of my team members who had been on one in the past year and has really enjoyed his time doing that. So, yeah, it's a really great opportunity, isn't it? So, you are both very well established, seasoned change professionals.
I like
I like that.
I like that,
Like
right?
that.
Seasoned is the word at the moment for us. How did your careers take shape?
How did our what?
Your careers take shape.
I think it was having people who believed in me, managers who said, okay, I see her potential. Let's put her in a leadership. I think for me, that's when I realized, oh, wow, somebody actually believes in me. So, I try to do that with now, right? Mentoring new managers, mentoring, maybe somebody who might not even realize that that's something that they could do, right? That idea is not even in their heads, and I think it's up to us to really, as seasoned leaders, it's up to us to really identify and help people grow that way. There's two things that I always kind of guide people towards. Is that when you become a manager, there's two groups that you should sort of partner with. Number one is HR. So important. Make friends with HR. The second, for obvious reasons, the second one is project managers. So for me, I'm not great at, organizing my time. I'm like, the creative part of me says, this, that, it jumps around. But I feel like the project management skills that I've learned, either, by working with project managers or by leading projects myself, has been so valuable. I take it with every single position that I've been in. So,
yeah, I think those are fantastic transferable skills when you
Yes.
learn them, right?
Yes.
And how about you, Anka?
Mine has been a little bit different, I think. Mine has been slow but steady.
Oh, okay, I like
I
that.
started as a business analyst in 2001.
Okay.
And slowly I moved to a combined business analyst, project manager, then project manager, manager of project management, director of PMO. So I think that to me it's always to be constant, to always trying to see what can you add value, what of all the opportunities you have, what do you think will add the most value to the firm and everyone around you. And something I tell everyone when they ask me, how can I grow? I tell them it doesn't matter what you do today. Do it as best as you can and people will notice. And as soon as you do a good job, people will give you more opportunities and just keep going. Build it slowly, don't make shortcuts, and it happens.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's trying to, I suppose, find those opportunities where you can grow in your own personal development. What would you suggest to any listener who is interested in working within the sort of the PMO change arena?
Oh gosh, I'll let you take that one first.
I would say, obviously, you need certain skills to begin with. So if you are someone that is organized, and I cannot believe that Maria says she's not good.
I know. I mean, when she said that, I was like, really?
I know Maria. She's amazing.
Yeah, she is.
But if you have that kind of interest or itch whenever you see something that is disorganized to organize it, or if you're the guy or the girl that wants to plan things, and if you're trying to see what is coming and how to mediate it, that's the kind of skills you need. And then just start finding opportunities, volunteer within your firm, raise the hand and say, I can help with that. And really, as I said before, people notice. When someone does a good job and contributes and adds value, people notice.
Yeah.
I would say, you're not alone. Sometimes, at least a bit in the beginning of my career, I felt like, oh my God, I'm such in a silo. And then I came to ILTACON. I was like, oh,
Nice.
these are my people.
Nice.
So whether it's ILTA or whether it's the, PM, what's the PMI? I think there are other
Yeah,
Yes.
PMI,
Yeah.
other organizations. I would say get involved in those organizations, either as a volunteer or, sign up, learn all you can.
Yes.
That's what I would say.
That's
Yeah,
a very
get
good one. I like it.
Yeah. It is just, there's so much information out there,
There
isn't
is.
there?
Yes.
Which can really help and guide you in
Yes.
our area. And, I also started in a very different career space. Well, I say that I was in legal IT, but I was on the service desk. I started and I worked up through service delivery, and then I moved over into project management because I was given some opportunities to run smaller pieces of work as a team leader. And then I realized that was really where I really enjoyed my focus to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, is there anything you would deem important to know about working in the legal industry?
Deem important.
I don't think there's one thing for me. I think it's a bunch of things. I mean, one is we are different. I mean, the fact that we work for a partnership, not a kind of vertical organization, it makes things a little bit different in that.
You could add complexity, can't
Yes,
you?
a lot of
partnership
it.
model.
A
Yeah.
lot of it. A lot of commitment, a lot of committees, a lot of agreements to be reached. And the other thing that I would highlight, and it's not because I'm here, but the ILTA community and the legal industry community for the admin staff is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is shared. People is an open book. You have a question, people will jump to help you and try to help you and guide you.
Yes.
And so to me, that's very unique in both senses.
I don't think we have a community like ILTA though.
No.
I think
No,
we
it's
are very
unique.
blessed to be able
Yes.
to be part of it. And any member firms that are member firms, remind everyone within your firm that they have an account and an access to all of this wonderful content
Yeah.
and community feel. And it just feels like, a magical electric thing. Like you feel it when you're walking around this conference, especially, but even in the virtual
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
as well.
I would say spend time with lawyers, legal assistants, paralegals, case assistants. Spend time with them.
Yeah.
It's I think of the defense firms, definitely big law as being a very relationship type of business. You have a relationship with your client. So I think being good at relationships, right? Learning about what makes them tick, what the pain points are. And I think, and maybe that's the case for any business, but I think specifically for legal, because it is such a relationship-driven type of business, then it counts.
Yeah.
Here.
I think it's being curious, right?
Yeah, it is.
Having
It is.
some curiosity
Yes.
about what people, what makes people tick, what
Absolutely.
what we do as change professionals all the time. We want to make their lives easier.
Yes.
Anything we are offering, we want to understand where their pain points are. And, as you were saying, like in the business analysis where you first started,
Yeah.
you would have been right in the detail of
Oh,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
And, that is such an amazing way to start learning
Yes.
about what it means to be a lawyer.
Yes.
Okay. So for me, it's been an absolute pleasure having you both with me today, as always. Where can people find you after today if they want to get in touch and ask you any questions?
Oh gosh, LinkedIn. Connect with me at LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest way, right? On the dance floor.
Yes, of course.
Absolutely.
Leading the line dancing. And if anyone two-steps, we're trying to find someone that can two-step with Maria this week.
Yes.
Stepping.
She's just learned. And
I
you
am
and
big,
Tyler
I
as
am
well?
big on email. I prefer
Yeah.
email than LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And you can find me kayaking in Massachusetts,
Oh.
hiking in New Hampshire, or doing pottery.
Oh,
Or
wow.
doing pottery in
Amazing.
the pottery studio.
Oh, I love this.
Yes.
I need to see all these pictures of your pottery after we've stopped
Next
this
time I'll
recording.
bring something.
Yeah.
I always give them away. I'll bring you something.
I look forward to that, lovely man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a real pleasure and an honor.
Thank you for having us.
Of course.
Raul, thanks for joining me today.
Dad, thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, we're on a very lively exhibition floor here. We got some construction going on, and we got some lots of production, but and lots to talk about.
I agree. There's a lot of energy in the room.
That's very true. A lot of energy. So, tell me a little bit about your background. So you're now with HSFK, and you came from the corporate side, correct?
I did. So right now I'm at HSFK. I am running applied AI there. Basically just trying to figure out how can we embed AI into our day-to-day work at the firm. I'm fairly new. I've been at the firm about 3 months now. And prior to this, I was at Meta. I spent a little over 4 years there. I was building tooling and tech for Meta Legal. And I think before joining Meta, I thought I understood what scale was. And being in there, actually seeing and building things from the ground up, I really understood what scale is. And it was a really wonderful experience for me. And prior to that, I was at another tech company, Alteryx. I operationalized their entire privacy stack and the program. And before that, I was at a couple different law firms, started my career in e-discovery, like a lot of folks in this space, and towards the tail end, practice tech and privacy ops. So really excited to do this today.
Nice, awesome. So what is a director of applied AI? Is that what does a director of applied AI do at a law firm?
So I will tell you, we are still figuring that out in a sense, right? But what the goal is, we as a firm have so much of our own knowledge. How do we use that knowledge to provide better judgment and advice to our clients? And my role, as I see it, is like figuring out how do we use the third-party tooling and tech we have. Starts with adoption, but then goes to the actual changing of the workflow, right? With this technology, there are certain things that we have done a certain way over the last 25 or so number of odd years, right? But now we don't have to do them in the same way. So we have to figure out ways of what can be squeezed in and what's more that we can do. So I think that's what I look as applied AI as a practice to help our lawyers do that, plus our business of law. I think that's really important too, right? So there's two parts in a law firm, practice of law and the business of law. And I think both will become complementary. And the business of law, if you start looking at the data, will feed the practice of law, will tell you, what you should focus your priorities on, kind of stuff you should work on. So that's what we are trying to do on a high level. And we are still shaping a lot of the things we'll work on.
Yeah. So I wrote a LinkedIn post recently and kind of mapped out what I think are going to be like the 5 waves of transformation within AI. So wave 1, which is where a lot of law firms are today, is kind of the co-pilot wave, and with a lowercase c, not Microsoft Copilot, but where you kind of bolt on AI tools to existing workflows. Wave 2 is going to be the infrastructure wave, where we kind of clean up our underlying data and content. Wave 3 is going to be process engineering, so like refactoring processes from first principles. Fourth wave, autopilot or agentic wave, where we've unbundled the legal tasks, and figured out where tech fits and where you need humans in the loop. And then the fifth wave being the business model transformation. So pricing, client engagement, partner track, all the things that have to change that revolve around the billable hour today. Do you see, and there's going to be some overlap between these waves, right? They're not mutually exclusive. I don't know. Do you see things playing out in that sequence, or do you see things playing out differently?
I think yes to all of that. But in terms of sequencing it, I think there's going to be more overlap than we think about it, because if you think about the fifth portion, right? Like, how does the operating model change? A lot of that would be fed from how we are changing the ways of working, what part of the what portion of the work we do becomes maybe value based, or it's not billed anymore. But there's going to be more work coming out of that that'll become billable work, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of intermingling of that. And the second piece you said, right, the data infrastructure, I think that is so important. And because that's the plumbing you need, right? Law firms don't have the infrastructure, or they don't even have data warehouses of their own data right now. And I think firms investing in that today that are doing that quietly behind the scenes are going to see a lot of value come out of it. There's going to be a light bulb moment in like 6 months or 12 months when that stuff is ready to go. And today we tell lawyers this works, and they will tell you, I don't see the magic. And I think once that plumbing is in place, that's when you'll start to see the magic.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, one thing I've noticed when I'm figuring out, looking at the landscape. So, my company, we do business with about a third of the AM law, and we have a good cross sectional view. Like, we get to see what all these law firms are doing. And I'm seeing like a bit of a K shaped trajectory. Like, on the upper leg of the K are the firms that are making bold moves. And on the downward leg of the K are the ones that are kind of limping into this transformation, like staying conservative, like um, you know, firms that are doing bold moves or like bringing in outside DNA, giving them a real mandate, real empowerment. And HSFK, I'm a big fan of Alona. She's a friend, and I love how she thinks. But she came from McKinsey. You're being brought in from Meta. I would put those in the category of bold moves. Bringing in new ways of thinking. How big, or was that by coincidence, or did the firm strategically say, it makes sense for us to acquire talent from outside of the law firm world, which is very much a microcosm? Was that part of the strategy, or did it just kind of play out that way?
I think I think our firm is being strategic about it, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I think our firm was the first firm to hire a chief AI officer.
Yeah.
In the tune of Alona, right? And I think she's done a really good job of understanding and managing expectations of what do we need to go from point A to point B. And she's bringing in the right talent, right? Like that's how I think I got hired. And I spoke to a bunch of other firms when I was, thinking about moving to a law firm. And, HSFK made a lot of sense because one, it has the leadership buy-in. We are making the bold moves, right? And I feel it while I'm there. Like, we are moving in the right direction. That doesn't make it easy, but makes it easier. We are still building the plane as we are flying it, but we have the right pieces of the puzzle in place. We have a North Star we are moving towards.
Yeah. Well, bold moves is something that law firms aren't accustomed to. It's a very traditional, it's an industry that's based on tradition, and historically tech has not been a strategic enabler, right? Like, I mean, if you think about the biggest tech transformations, it's like email, electronic research. This is a complete game changer, and it's requiring a different thought process. Like, historically, many law firms have looked at tech as an expense to be managed, and now we're entering into an era where it is going to redefine service delivery, and that shift in thinking is going to require additional budget. It's going to require challenging assumptions that have been held true and made the industry successful for decades, right? So like I feel like the firms that are really making the bold moves are the ones at senior leadership that are recognizing that the way that you did it yesterday probably isn't going to work tomorrow. Do you agree?
I totally agree. I think we have to figure out a way, right, that's better given the current state of the technology. And the good thing about this technology is, right, like, why is transformation so much easier with AI? Because it's so accessible. And earlier on, you talked about process reengineering, right? Process reengineering is such a hard problem. Comes with all of its challenges of change management. Those don't go away. But what I mean why it's easier today is, right, like when we were trying to figure out, I've been in legal tech space for 15 plus years. I've done a lot of workflow automation or digitization. It took us weeks to figure out an end-to-end process. We will sit down with people, spend hours talking about it. Then somebody will create a Visio diagram back in the day or some other workflow tooling. And then we'll go back and forth the business, right? But with this tech today, I can use a conversational tool while I'm sitting in the room with somebody and process map live on the fly. And that's squeezed in. Like I can do the job that took me 2 weeks in 3 hours, and I can get the critique, the right information at my fingertips. And then building is becoming cheaper as well. So I can go build it quickly. So I think now the bigger piece, the firms that'll succeed or will be the ones that can figure out what not to do. And I think that's really important. Uh, Experiment quickly, fail fast, right? And these are things that are not synonymous to a law firm in general. We are very risk averse, right? So what becomes the moat is governance. As you build stuff, you have to have governance layered in everywhere, right? You have to have automatic evals, like if we talk about agentic towards the, where we are going. So, but the process mapping piece has become so much simpler and easier now that actually figuring out what people do has become much more simpler. And then if we know what we are doing, this technology works really well if you can modularize work. So if I can split it into 10 different components and provided context around those components, overall layer, it's that's when you start seeing the magic happen.
Yeah. So I spent years in financial services at Bank of America. I was a process engineer. I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt. And 15 years ago, I had a consulting business. We did tech work. We also did process engineering work. And there was a really limited appetite. We rebuilt a law firm, not a big one, default services firm in like 2009. So this is right during the foreclosure wave of the Great Depression or Great Recession, and got written up by the ABA Journal, like cover article. And I thought, man, my phone is going to be ringing off the hook because all these law firms are going to see how they can deliver efficiencies and be more competitive. And it was crickets. It was crickets. And, it was a lesson to me about like timing, right? We were way too early. The billable hour is way too profitable, and firms have been way too successful with that model to just, it's the innovator's dilemma, right? To just abandon that. But, I'm curious, like, how are you guys thinking about process reengineering? Like, are you bringing in Six Sigma practitioners, or do you have process engineering people, or is it tech team? Like, how are you guys thinking about the process?
So I think it's a combination. The way I look at it is, right, when you are such a big firm, you have to prioritize some use cases. So we are looking at use cases and we are putting a lot of effort into that with the right talent. People like me, people on my team, as well as the second part of that is, right, like if you want to make organizational change, you have to meet the lawyers where they are and have them become your champions. They can help me re-engineer the process much better now, because if I get the right tools in their hands and give them direction on which way to go, uh, and we have not figured all of this out yet, right? We are also we are trying to do this. I have been only here 3 months. And I think our team is moving in that direction but I truly believe it's going to be where people like us solve 2 or 3 big use cases. Some of it is going to be low hanging fruit. And then that's when you start showing people the art of the possible and you find the right people in practice areas. It has to be the lawyers doing this. It can't be the AI team. It can't be the support staff. I truly believe that. But I think we are at that cusp, right, where lawyers are recognizing that. So we'll see. And to your point, right, I think billable hour, I don't even like to debate that because I don't think I personally feel as clients, everybody pays law firms for a service in the form of a billable hour, value based. And only thing I see is it's going to become more outcome based now. There's more pressure, right? And the AI wave has just enhanced that, where clients are asking law firms like about raising hourly rates anyway. So I think it's a good opportunity for law firms actually. Our clients, right? We are in the business of serving our clients, and they don't have this figured out either. They are trying to do the same thing as us, and so I think there's a really good opportunity where you could combine efforts, and firms that recognize that, and we are doing some of that, where we are maybe co-creating or looking to co-create and trying to figure out how we can add value on both sides. And I think that'll go a long way with clients as well, because law firms are in a good spot, right? We already have our partners who are trusted advisors to our clients. And so if we can help them do more, it's better for all of us.
Yeah. So there's, I mean, there is data around how law firms are engaging their clients with respect to AI, and it's not good. So Deloitte just put out a study in June. They surveyed 120 legal leaders at big inside corporate legal departments, and I think the number was 68% said that their law firms either have never or only had an initial conversation about how AI is going to impact the economics of the relationship. So that's not great. And then only 4% say that they've seen any savings from the use of AI within their panel firms. And I know like everybody's trying to figure out, and you're absolutely right. The inside legal teams, because I talk to them a lot, and they are starting to they are trying to figure it out, but they're also getting very restless. Like, hey, ChatGPT was 4 years ago, right? Like, where is the savings? When is the savings coming? And it's a hard thing to demonstrate now, but it's like, I don't know. How do you see the timeline playing out? Like, is it 6 months from now we'll have this figured out on some small scale? Are we a year out? Like, when can clients like look at their bill and go, I see a difference?
I think that's a really tough question. Number one, I think some of that is already happening. What's happening is clients are probably, or even firms are not good at demonstrating that.
Yeah.
So, like, we know, right? Like, something that took us a task that took us maybe 3 hours to do is now getting done in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So our lawyers, even though they're billing by the hour, they're billing only an hour to the
Yeah.
client, right? So I think it's happening in that way. The challenge is nobody's showcasing that outcome to the client, because we also don't know that yet. And this goes back to the business of law data.
Mm-hmm.
So if any law firm has the data of saying, hey, we do task X, and I'm just making this up on the fly, and on an average across all our clients doing task X, we spend 3 hours. But now, because we use tool X, whatever that tool might be, homegrown, vendor, we are doing that same task in an hour and a half. So you are actually getting savings.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is happening. It's just not getting reported out because we don't have the data ourselves. So there's a little bit of gap there.
Yeah.
And I think that will get solved, because a lot of firms are now thinking about, what does our data tell us? What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
And how are we impacting client savings? As to a number, I don't know. I think there's also going to be this wave of where I believe that we can start co-creating with clients, because then clients actually see the value of, okay, this is happening in front of us, and now we are moving from A to B. And then I think there's also some of the stuff so a lot of this stuff most likely is not getting back, because I used to work with the legal ops department in an in-house company, right? All of the information goes back through surveys. A lot of this is not tangible information. It's like, you're on a litigation, you're telling it to the head of litigation, hey, we saved you X. That never goes back, right?
Yeah.
There's a data gap there as well, and everybody's trying to do the best they can. So I think that the data is the challenge here, number one. And the co-creation will help, and it's also, we'll start
I think we'll see more value-based billing in the future,
Yeah.
or outcome-based billing, because this technology helps us do more with less. Maybe that's not the right. What I mean by that is, right, like, I'll take a very practical example of an M&A deal. So if today anybody doing an M&A, they have a budget, right? So the biggest thing they do in due diligence is trying to mitigate risk. So small portion of M&A due diligence is contract review. And today, if you're something you're acquiring, you're looking at, let's say, 1,000 contracts. Most of the time, you do an 80-20 rule, right? Like, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just making this up on the fly.
Yeah.
So you're like, let me spend 80% of my time on the top 20% revenue deal. So you look at 200 I'm just taking this as an example, right? But now with AI, I can look at all of them in the same budget. So I'm actually reducing risk for the client.
Yeah.
So, that stuff is happening. This is going to start happening more in the transactional space because it's easier to see. I think litigation is getting disrupted too now.
Yeah.
Discovery specifically, I think we're going to see more cheaper document review, but also like generating facts, things like that, right? It's become a lot easier, especially if the lawyer knows how to use the tools. And I think it's a balance of both. And a lot of that is sometimes, uh, if you're in a deposition, you're asking, if the witness is contradicting themselves. It took days to figure that out. Now you can, if you're using these tools right, if you use the same day rough transcript, you can figure that out and ask that question, go back and next day and ask the question.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of that is adding value. I don't think people are recognizing that. And technology waves also move in, we all get too hung up on the short term gains and we forget the long terms.
Mhm.
I think we'll start seeing real value in 5 years. A lot of people will say, no, everything is coming in a year, 2 years. I think real change takes time, right? There's a lot of change management that goes back into this. And so I don't know. That's a long-winded way of answering that.
Yeah.
We don't have all the answers, right? But I think we are moving in the right direction.
All right. Well, we're almost out of time, but I have to mention this because it's you kind of teed me up. So we are a legal intranet and extranet provider, and we have been approached by a couple of GCs that have looked at our tech and said, you know what, your tech can actually provide transparency around things like, year over year spend by matter type. It can give us access to all of our work product so that we can build our internal capabilities. And when we've talked to some law firm leaders about it, and they're like, yeah, that needs to kind of be client driven because there's not, being transparent kind of cuts against the grain of how law firms have historically operated. And I feel like we're entering into a new era where that's no longer optional. Clients are going to demand transparency. I know it because they're telling me. So we're, as a product company, trying to move in that direction. But to your point, it's like, all right, is that going to be 6 months or is that going to be 6 years? Right? I feel like the clients have to drive a lot of this. Would you agree?
I totally agree. I think clients have to drive a lot of this, and clients also have to recognize that opportunity, right? Coming from the in-house space, a lot of in-house legal departments are still struggling with intake, as an example, right?
Yeah.
So I think the work has to be done in both ways. So I think transparency is key. And that's where I think the partnerships will actually help, right? And it also helps depending on what shape, size client you are to the firm, right? And then they will drive big changes. And I totally agree with that. It's coming, though,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's a matter of time, but I also think firms are recognizing that and are getting prepared for it.
Yeah. I would agree, and I hope that's right because we're making bets on it. So let's hope that's right. All right, well, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you for having me, Ted.
All right.
Hi, and welcome back to the ILTA Voices podcast, live from the exhibition hall here at ILTACON 2026. I am joined by the fabulous Esther and John from Haystack ID. Apologies.
Okay.
For attendees at ILTACON, what's the change that Haystack ID is responding to with these launches that you have that you've been announced last week, right?
Yes.
And what's become harder with the last sort of 12 to 18 months?
Well, I don't think I'm going to shock you when I say we're responding to, the changes with AI.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you've heard that already today
Yes.
and yesterday. What's really cool about what we're doing is that we're, we're historically a discovery company. We, are data management, data support, anything to do with data. So we're really attacking, I don't want to call it an AI problem. I would almost say AI solution, but it also causes problems. But from
Opportunities, we like to call
opportunities,
them. Yeah.
but from all different angles.
Uh-huh.
So John is going to be the expert in talking to you about how we're reacting from a forensic side, and I can talk about how we're reacting proactively from a discovery and tools and products and compliance side. So John, if you want to
Yeah, well, I mean,
start us off.
I think the big change in the last 12 to 18 months, and talked about it earlier today with a couple of people, it's, like for 2 years, it's been, oh, hey, do you have AI? How do we use AI? How do we do this? How do we get into it?
Mm-hmm.
That stopped. It's now using AI. How deep do we go? How far can we go with it? How much can we do with it? How accurate can it be? How, what's the depth and the crystality of it? How clean can it be? And that's the talk that I'm seeing so far this year, is just really how much can I do with it? It's no longer can I, it's
Absolutely, right. And I think that a lot of people have been waiting for great vendors themselves to develop their tools in this area, right? Because you can have the new people on the block who have come in as an AI product, or we can have all of our well-known previous tech stack who've now added amazing AI capabilities to their tools as well, right?
Right.
So if listeners remember one theme from today, or from what we're discussing, what is it? Is it the speed, defensibility, governance, or the day one understanding of the product?
Well, I'm going to say that the one thing I would want listeners to take away is that what we're doing is looking at how our processes should be created for a world in which Gen AI exists. Not that, I think the whole conversation with AI started, and I'll take discovery because I do a lot of that. It's like, can Gen AI replace human document review? We know the answer is yes. But it goes so far beyond that at this point, and it's like what we do with the products that we've built is specifically, I think you were referencing our Insight product, is that the value in it is that it can take in a large data set, and we're talking about millions and millions of documents, and give you an understanding to what is in your data set on, I wouldn't say day one, but I would say very quickly. And historically, our entire discovery process has been built on the fact that in order to understand our data, we need to do a linear document by document review. Now we're starting with, okay, we know what we're looking at for relevance. We know the key themes. We know the key people. We know the size of the population. How do we build our discovery strategy around that? And what differentiates Case Insight as our product is that, unlike traditional discovery tools, it does not look at data from a document by document perspective. It looks at it contextually. So it looks at millions in order to give you that understanding. And that's going to change the entire way the entire landscape of how discovery looks. And, the economics and decisions that come from that are just going to completely shift.
And I think it's also, I'll talk about the AI governance, the defensibility. So AI governance is the framework to getting to defensibility. And defensibility is kind of the new thing nobody's talking about really. We launched Trace last week, and that's about taking, instead of using AI to work on the evidence, it's taking the AI as evidence. So the inputs, the outputs, prompting, how you're actually interacting with the AI, and recording that so that you have a defensibility perspective on what happened with the AI, what decisions did it make, what did it evaluate, how did it interact, how did it do its thing. And that's really key to getting into that defensibility level of, now I can say that I have a defensible usage because here's the paradigm, here's the information it looked at, here's the decisions made.
That sounds pretty amazing, actually. So Esther, Case Insight is positioned around getting a substantive read of the data right at the start. What does day one understanding look like in practice for a legal team?
Going back to what I was saying before, it means that you don't have to wait months to get, a set of data reviewed with an understanding of your facts, the risks, etc. I mean, additionally, right, when we're waiting for that after linear review, we are, going to negotiate ESI protocols, deciding custodians and timeframes, and often that wasn't based on any substantive information, rather, what the burden is, how much it's going to cost. So it's not the true way that we should be determining what we're going to be looking at for data. So, Case Insight kind of changes that because, you have that information. You might do it before you negotiate search terms. You might do it before you negotiate custodians. And, then it's every other decision down the line. So rather than, okay, we have to collect, enormous amounts of data, which are only getting larger by generated data that we're going to collect through Trace.
Yeah.
But, and then it's not just like we have to throw that all into a review platform to then do something with it. It's what do we actually have to go put into a review platform, post AI analysis. And again, it's going to just change your entire workflow, where you have to spend money, where you need to bring in outside counsel, where, all of those decisions are changed when you're not guessing at the answers.
What's the minimum you would need to get started with that? What does briefcase background typically include?
Okay, so one of the fundamental things that we believe in with what we're building with our AI tools is that it should be easy to use. Right? I would say most people attending ILTA have used ChatGPT or Claude or one of the other LLMs. We know how easy it is. So we want to not make it any harder than that. And so Case Insight specifically only requires a simple background of your matter. And that can be anything that you know or might not know. It can also be a set of RFPs or a subpoena that you put in to identify what you have to find. And really, once you have indexed data and you have that background, you're ready to go. So we, as an example, we had a client come to us one day. They had 1.3 million documents they needed to work with. The deadline was a week later. And by the end of the day that I met with them, we had already started running the process because it was that simple. So, I never want you to take from that AI is an easy button, because it's not. But when done correctly, this stage shouldn't be that difficult. That early case assessment piece, or that, knowledge gathering, it shouldn't be that hard.
Absolutely. A big promise here is that outputs are defensible and cited. How should teams think about Case Insight alongside human review so they can move quickly and stay confident?
I think there are two layers to that question. I want to say that the tools we built are also based in finding what is in your evidence and giving facts based on evidence. It's not giving you legal advice. And because it's based on a fact, anytime a fact is mentioned, whether it's in the narrative, if it's in the timeline, wherever it is, it's backed by a citation that's right there that you can click on and see the document in the viewer. And so, when we always are asked about hallucinations or things like that, and we don't think that AI replaces human work. We're giving you a easier path to get to your evidence and the facts in your evidence, but it's up to the lawyer to make sure those facts check out. We make it, again, easy to do that by literally having it right in front of you as reading the output. But I think that the interaction between AI results and, attorneys and their background is really where you're going to get the most value.
Great. So you're debuting, I can't even say that word at the moment, a new generation of CaseBot, described as agentic with specialized skill agents. In plain terms, what becomes possible with that shift that wasn't realistic with chat style QA alone?
Yeah, so the early chatbots and even our newer chatbots, they're built on RAG technology, which means they go in, retrieve an answer to your question, and then generate a response based on the information that has been retrieved. Now, what has changed about this new generation is that an agentic retrieval process will continue to fact find in your data based on the question. So instead of giving a simple fact and answering your question, like who was involved, it was this person, it's going to paint a bigger picture of who was involved, what the situation is, what the scenario is, how they interact. It's going to give you a much more robust response. And then based on that, we came up with the concept of these specialized skill agents, which in a lot of ways mirror, the output that you get from Case Insight, which is very structured, built, and it goes through a process in which it identifies your evidence in a way that's very transparent. This is what's in the record. This is what isn't in the record. This is what this evidence is based on. Here's its limitations. Because a natural language query and say, hey, what's going on here? But when you have that tailored back workflow that is requiring the tool to go through that agentic retrieval process to build out a full output, which is, a memo or a chronology or a timeline or a depot kit, and it's required to do that in a systematic way, you're going to get a much better output. And, most lawyers, they're not going to go and spend, an hour plus or however long it takes drafting a prompt to get that exact result. Like, I don't do that when I talk to ChatGPT, which I do pretty frequently, but you can just click a button, give a topic, and you have a full exportable output on a fact narrative or a deposition kit. And understanding the output you need. So, for example, the deposition kit is going to give you, and I want it on John Wilson, and it's going to give you all of John Wilson's aliases because generative AI can really understand that contextually. So you get this really, really full output that you couldn't get from RAG-based chat.
And I like to always say, like, as I spoke about earlier, it's deeper. You're getting deeper in your data. You're going farther. You're expanding the pattern to understand really what's in your data and how you're going to interact with it.
Yeah, I mean that's really forward thinking, right? With how these tools are developing now.
Well, I mean, a lot of them were developed. Again, what we really believe is our tools need to be developed for what our clients need. And specifically, these skill agents were developed because of what we were hearing from clients. So, it's like, what are their pain points? What would they need? And I can literally tie all the agents directly back to a conversation that I've had with a client about it, which is, amazing. And I used to be a practitioner not that long ago. So like, I understand that. And that's where the value is.
Absolutely.
So for legal ops and litigation support leaders, what does good adoption look like?
It looks boring. Right. I mean, we go back to governance and, it's a topic no one really wants to talk about because we create repeatable processes. We document them. We have SOPs. we understand where our data is. We have, a table that relates to PII. It really, sometimes we get lost in like the excitement of AI, but a lot of the principles go back to the same principles we've always been talking about. So what does good governance look like? Apply it to AI. There is another level, I would say, on the legal side, because there are a lot of implications now with AI that may have not existed in the past. So if you're indexing your data to, build an internal facing GPT or something like that, what happens when you index privilege data that anybody can search on? Do you lose privilege? Or what happens when you are searching and there is data that is under a legal hold and that generates more data that should probably be under that legal hold? So while we go back to the core principles that we always have, we also have to look at the new nuance that AI is bringing.
Yeah, it's data hygiene, data understanding your data at a deeper level. Again, it's all about just getting deeper into your data, having a better operation where you know what's going on. The info governance helps you get there safely.
Yeah.
Because the privacy risks, the compliance risks are all very real and insane.
Yeah, data it has been quite a difficult thing for us to be able to manage within, I suppose, any industry. But from my experience in the legal industry, it's tough, right? And you are only as good as the data you have.
That's correct.
Yes. So Trace Suite.
Yes.
It's built on a powerful idea of AI interactions that aren't transient. Their evidence. What are the real world triggers that make organizations suddenly need that record?
Also, EU AI Act Article 50 has real repercussions. In the US, you have Rule 707 that is tabled for now, won't come into effect till 28 or 29, but what's the lifespan of a case today? Like something that starts as a case today doesn't make it to court for 3, 4, 5 years.
Absolutely.
At that point, Rule 707 will be in place. But again, in the global picture, there is the EU AI Act. There's numerous other AI acts in other countries and other nations that are all have significant impact. And the cases that are already out there, there's already cases where they've said, hey, you use the prompts, you have to produce the outputs, you have to produce the information as to how you used AI to do this work.
Yeah.
And that's not really built into any of the existing platforms at all. So that's what drove us to do it. Was, again, as Esther said, client need. The client asks, and we figured out, hey, this is a real need. Nobody's addressing. There's no solution out in the marketplace. So we spent a lot of time and effort to develop that solution to meet that need, as it really is a real need. It's very, very significant risks and growing, because you now have like prompt injections.
Yeah.
Like there was a case where
Oh my gosh,
the hidden prompts
blew my mind.
and the filings with the court. So everybody in all the articles, and I'm going to post an article about it. I haven't done it yet, but everybody in all the articles is like, oh, well, that's crazy if you're going to have the judge, change their opinion based on that prompt injection in there. That's not even the biggest risk. People don't even realize it's a digital filing with the court. The odds of fooling the court are pretty slim because they're still way behind and they're still doing manual read. But the opposing side gets the filing. They're putting it into AI. They're processing it and then saying, hey, should we settle this case? Should we not settle this case? Can we move forward? Or maybe, hey, oh, wow, this case is going to be much bigger where you can get more money out of it. Or, maybe we need to settle this for a lot less because I think we're in real trouble here because that prompt injection altered the outputs they were getting.
Yeah.
Nobody's even talking about that yet. And I'm telling you, that is the real risk, is it's going to be crazy.
It's really great. I didn't even know what a prompt injection was until I saw that ruling. And I was like, I work in AI every day. And I think that's just the beginning. We're going to see a lot of interesting topics and court rulings out of AI.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we already are.
Well, we already are, but now you get really crazy and you want to take it like even further. What about, if you follow AI much, talk about that it's doing so that you can say, hey, yes, this was written with AI. That marking is special characters and things that can be put in there. Can you go alter those markings to make it think and make different things? It's gonna be nuts.
What I think is the craziest, because Anthropic announced this last week or the week before that they're going to be watermarking. If you take a paragraph you wrote and put it into Claude for it to edit and proofread, it's going to come out with the watermark, which means it could have been 98% what you wrote, and you just wanted it proofread, and it's going to have a watermark that it was generated by AI, which is not fair.
Right. Well, that's like so I publish articles every week and I write them and I put them into Grammarly and I use AI to, hey, is this right? And I use it to do some research and validate the facts and stuff like that. So now those watermarks being in there. And one clear important thing, Anthropic didn't say they are going to be doing it. They said they've been doing it for a month and a half
on the new models, right?
On the new models.
So we did go a little bit off topic.
That's fine.
Apologies.
I don't mind. I was actually really enjoying the conversation. So Trace, you describe it as forensically sound and a chain of custody ready. At a high level, what defensible record of an AI interaction contain, and how does that help legal teams respond faster when cases arise?
Yeah, so that's the really important thing. It's taking the prompts that you're putting in and looking at all the inputs that go into your AI prompting, all the outputs that you're getting back from the AI prompting, and then there's these things called artifacts, and they're just the interactions that are happening behind with, like, you might have 5 agents running and those agents are talking to each other and tracking each other, and that's all those artifacts, and it's all textual data. And so we're actually getting all of that. We're getting the prompt, the inputs, the outputs, the artifacts, and then any objects. And so I use the word objects because it can be different things. It can be audio, it can be an image, it can be a video, but it's the objects. It could be Word docs, it could be pleadings, whatever. But it's all those objects that you put into it. So it keeps a tracking of those. And then the other really key important thing is understanding the actual model that was used, what particular version was at the time that, because if you follow AI at all, like the Mythos and Fable with Claude versus Opus. So Opus, it was the slightly older model, is much more of a doer. It does tasks and it does things. Fable is much more of a thinker. It does reasoning. It out, hey, this is how, what, where, why, but it's not so great at the doing. So if you don't have that information reserved and you're going back to look at that record 6 months or 3 years from now, it's going to be really important to understand, did I use the doer model or did I use the thinker model?
Yep.
Because that's going to mean different things and different outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. You're sharing results from an AI-enabled cyber services workflow, faster review while satisfying high accuracy. Where does this change the game in breach response? Speed to understand what happened, speed to assess impacted data, or speed to report and remediate?
So it's
all of the above.
It's all the above. It really is all the above. The biggest impact, clearly, in the speed to identify the parties, the entities is what the industry term is for it. Entities are people, companies, anything that has a legal right to have data or have data associated to it. So that's obviously what finding patterns and structures is what AI is really, really good at. And so that really accelerates, but all of it, the speed of being able to follow the pattern and understand where the breach occurred, the speed of, hey, how do we get into remediation? What systems did it touch? We've got to go fix those systems now. So it affects all of it. And the cyber companies are adopting AI very rapidly as well, and it's doing a lot of things. Especially you look at like Fable and Mythos. from Claude and the cyber havoc that it's wreaked. It can be used for good as well. So the impacts are very substantive, but to me, in my opinion, it's the entity identity is just that's so important because you only have days or 28 days or 7 days to do the notifications that are required.
72 hours to notify
Right.
like
Wow.
under the GDPR of what was breached.
Right.
So I mean I think what you're saying goes down to like we're automating these incredibly manual tasks
Yeah.
that used to be terrible and take forever. Now we can automate it.
I mean, actually, it does lead really nicely on to my next question, where you were talking about data, of data. On the privacy side, you're demonstrating Privacy Hub and Gen AI powered DSAR response workflows, which actually I think is going to be quite revolutionary for a lot of law firms, right? For teams dealing with DSAR volume, what's the practical benefit?
Well, first of all, I love that you understand this and overseas this is a bigger situation right now than it is in the US. And so, when we talk to our, London or in Ireland or any of our clients out, they hear about our DSAR response and they just get so excited.
Coming soon to a theater near you. It's here in the US too.
Right, exactly. That's why I said for now. I did preface it because our privacy laws are but when I was in-house and I was actively responding to DSARs and everyone was like, how do we do this? And I was just like, it's discovery. Like that's what it is. It's data that you have to identify the relevant information. It's a little bit different. And then you're generally producing, not in the way that we're producing in discovery. It's different, but it's process.
Yeah.
And so the same way that we have automated a whole lot of work with discovery, that early understanding of the data, that Gen AI automated PII redaction, and the way that we've packaged it into a transparent, very easy to understand with pricing and the way we built it, we can starting with forensics when you need to collect the data and through like that automated review, et cetera, all the way until response.
That's great. So someone's going to come to booth 241.
I hope so.
Well, I think more than someone, they're people. What should they ask to see to understand the value immediately?
Trace, case bot, case intelligence.
Yeah, I mean, come by and we can show you what we actually mean by a substantive understanding of your data. A day, let's say 1 to 5.
Yeah. Amazing. So after ILTACON, where can listeners find you?
HaystackID.com or LinkedIn, either of us.
Yeah. We love hearing from clients, potential clients. It's how we build our tools. So please find us.
The potential clients are central to how we operate and how we develop our tools and work. We're very much, as an organization and everything that we do, a firm believer in what is your challenge? This is how we can solve it. And I think that's the secret to our success.
It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to both of you today and having you on ILTA Voices. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was great.
Great. Enjoyed the conversation.
Welcome back to ILTA Voices, everyone. I have the fabulous Mike Facito and Holly Gore here with me now, who are part of the Volunteer Council. So I will let these wonderful people introduce themselves by telling us about your involvement with ILTA so far.
Hi, so I'm Mike Casito. I am the Director of IT and Operations at Sci-Fi Charlotte, based out of Chicago. And I've been volunteering with ILTA for 11 years now. I started in 2015 as a speaker for ILTACON. Really got excited about the whole event and wanted to be more involved in it. So I volunteered for the conference planning committee the next year and was on that for 5 and a few roles, ultimately serving as a co-chair before kind of retiring from that. And then joined the volunteer committee as a co-chair, and most recently in serving as the volunteer council chair with Alexa.
Yeah, I'm the lucky one.
Cool. And I am Holly Gore. I am with Jackson Lewis. I am a manager of project and change management. I have about 10 years in legal across AM 50 and 200 firms. My first ILTA was 2018 as an attendee the year it was video games.
Oh, wow.
So not only did I have lots of educational content, it was cool theme. I won a Peloton that year. And
wow.
You know, I wanted to get involved because I had such a good time. I went, how can I be a part of this so I can just harness this education and this network every year, because I had such a great introduction to it. So threw my hat into the ring to be a session coordinator, have been a scholarship judge, currently co-chair of the volunteer development committee.
You were also part of an amazing advisory task force, right?
Yes, the now known as the Next Gen Legal Advisors. So ILTA very forward thinking, seeing a need to how can we engage our younger communities in legal, to just help bring them into the mix, get a pool of diverse voices and opinions, and factor that into their strategic plan. So yeah, I have a year of that under my belt as well.
And I remember meeting you when we were first in Chicago. We probably finally first met in person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were an amazing. I can't remember what we called ourselves, but maybe it's not for podcast listeners. But we were amazing, family feud panel.
Oh yes, head ladies in charge. I think I called us.
Yes, yes. Maybe the ladies is not what we. We'll carry on. So Volunteer Council, as we're all part of, and the Volunteer Development Committee has a very specific role. Tell our listeners about our remit.
Well, Holly, do you want to start?
Yes. So I will say that for the Volunteer Development Committee, specifically as written, we engage, develop, and volunteers. And what that actually means is that ILTA is peer powered. We are this event itself is a premier example of how important our volunteers are.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that not only it's rewarding, but that you're also getting opportunities to learn and grow through it so that you keep coming back. So we kind of look at that whole life cycle and figure out how can we attract new talent, how can we develop talent, and how can we continually redefine and improve the experience and offer the best of the best to our volunteers.
Tell us about some of the brilliant initiatives that your team have been doing lately.
So my fellow co-chair is also in project management. So we are process people. So we're trying to bring a lot of around that. So for new volunteers, we are developing an orientation schedule to provide some consistency and a touch point among fellow new starting volunteers. We also have our ILTA open house, which is quarterly. So if people are curious about volunteering, we are connecting them live with some pretty big power players in the ILTA volunteer committee to talk about their. So I think those are two that really got legs very quickly and that we've been able to sit up and we've seen an actual ROI on already.
Oh yeah, I'd absolutely agree with that. I was lucky enough to go to the last open house where you had some fantastic guests on board as well. And as you said, people who have been seasoned volunteers, and really the interest for the people who have come. We got some really amazing questions, didn't we, during that session? So we are Volunteer Council. What does that mean?
So The ILTA volunteer structure is broken up basically at like 4 buckets at the top. There's a group that handles education, so events like this, like Evolve, all the education delivered throughout the year through webinars and other formats. There's the local experience council. They handle meetings in local cities. The constituents council, which handles business partner membership, all kinds of different within our organization and making sure that their needs are served. And ours is the volunteer council. So we are specifically charged with Holly's mission. So Holly's committee falls under our council, and also the volunteer operations committee. And they basically exist to make sure that everyone can be successful. So we can worry about things like position descriptions and charters, and sure that all those kinds of needs are met, and let other teams focus more on their mission and their deliverables for what they're doing for everyone.
Yeah. I think we've been very lucky to be part of that that council. Volunteer development where you are is where one of my first volunteering opportunities, and I think being part of that really gives you a really good understanding of how important our volunteers are to us.
Very, very.
So I understand that there are a series of across the volunteer structure at the moment. How can someone apply, and what experience are we generally looking for?
Well, the easy way to look for what's available is just to go to volunteer.iltanet.org, and that'll drop you right onto our volunteer landing page. It'll show you any current openings that are there. We are very, very passionate. Every opportunity that exists in the organization is publicly posted and available for anyone to apply to that meets the qualifications for it. And that way we bring new faces, new voices in continually, and we're not just having the same people, serve in different roles at different times. So I would say look there first.
Yeah, that's a really good shout. What kinds of volunteer opportunities are people able to do? Obviously, we've discussed a few. Are there any others that you front of mind that you would think, these are really great different areas to volunteer?
Yeah, I think, as we talk about that there are long-term commitments and also shorter-term commitments, which we sometimes call micro opportunities, but they're still just as impactful. So an example of that is scholarship judging. So, on a very short time frame, but helping somebody bridge the gap to who wouldn't otherwise be able to attend in ILTA. There's board positions. There's also committee membership. So if you're not quite sure about taking the reins yet, but you still want to, raise your hand and contribute, I think you can find the right size role for your level of interest through the website. And we also have a wonderful deliverable from the Volunteer Development Committee to allow people to opt in to get I believe it's going to be a weekly digest of new roles. So that way you don't even have to fetch this information. It can be pushed to you because I know life gets very busy. So that way it's front and center in your inbox, and you can keep tabs on when these new roles open up.
And how does someone sign up for that? Where do they need to on the website?
Yeah, that would also be through the ILTA website. And on the volunteer page, there is I believe, a blue allows you to opt in. Okay. So in that neck of the woods.
Oh, no, that's brilliant because we were talking earlier when I had my lead about going into your profile and also going in there and ticking what communications you want. And all volunteer, you have an option there also to pick volunteering opportunities as well. So it's good that I do remember us talking about, us wanting to make it as easy as possible for people to be able to access this information. So that button on our volunteer page is definitely important.
Yeah, and that's us responding directly to feedback and allowing us to iterate and improve, which is just how it is to have this community where we can get that peer feedback and that peer involvement.
And how do you think volunteering has helped you in your career development?
You go first.
I mean, it's huge, right? I would classify myself as an extrovert. I've never felt comfortable walking into a room full of people that I don't know and immediately chatting anybody. But I joined the ILTACON conference committee, which comprised of between like 40 and 50 people usually. And I got to work on a project with them and then very quickly developed these organic relationships with those people that are still very strong today. And now when I come to events like this, I might see people from my own firm a little bit while we're here. Most of my time is spending with people like you, and spending like you that I've gotten a chance to meet through my volunteer work. I think another way that it really has is that by volunteering, I've been able to do experiences that I never would have been able to do at work. Where the ILTACON planning committee process and being able to co-chair that, it's an event that thousands of people come to, and having the ability to play a major role in planning all that out. I love my job. It's just not something that would ever come opportunity for me to do, and now I've done that, so that's been fantastic.
Yeah. And I guess opposite of Mike, I am an enthusiastic extrovert. So I love making connections. I work 100% remote, so people are my enrichment. So at an events like ILTACON, it's almost like a homecoming because there's all these people that are just live in my inbox, or they live in my phone, and then I can actually get to see the person behind the words.
Yeah.
So I'm just so stoked to be a part of this every time that I'm here, and just the generosity of people's spirit and that people being with their time. It's just like such a good part of the legal community. So yeah, I love it.
And it's been a theme throughout most of my conversations this afternoon about how special the Hilton community is.
Very.
And how the events like this, which is this my second one, is magical. Right? It really is amazing. You can feel the energy when you are surrounded by all these brilliant people. And like you have both said, like talking about opportunities that you may not have ever got in your day job, right? This lovely segue onto the lessons in leadership books, right? So this is the second edition now that's come. We have a book signing from 7:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, which is really exciting. And I have had the opportunity to be a contributing author. And as a real tech geek and maths and science nerd, as I would absolutely call myself, the fact that I've written a chapter in a book is really just the most wonderful opportunity.
It's great.
So yes. Is there anything else you guys make sure that people know about with regards to the Vol Council, or anything to do with the?
I think the thing that comes to mind for me is that if you are thinking of reaching out, don't get in your own way about it. If you've never volunteered before, that's great. We can align you with an opportunity that your experience and your comfort level and your interests. We're not going to make you be a speaker on stage. If you're an introvert, we'll find something that you can be passionate about and feel good about. So I really think that if you want to see changes in your professional spaces, one of the best ways to do that is to roll up your sleeves and say, how can I help? And that's how I got here.
Yeah, amazing.
I would say there are so many benefits being an ILTA member. There really are. There's the education, there's the access to the business partner community. For me personally, the benefit I have received by being a member of ILTA is the networking and the relationships that I've created. And I really got that by being a volunteer. So I feel like volunteering really is like the best benefit of ILTA.
I mean, absolutely, because where would our paths ever crossed?
No,
right.
It's opened doors that I would have never have access to.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel very blessed about being, part of this and meeting wonderful people like yourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for coming today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And
Congratulations on your chapter in the book.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing everyone at 7:30 a.m. I will be awake, I promise, to copies of the book. But yes, thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate seeing you.
Of course. Thank you.